Chapter 476. After all, using a high-grade black level skill was much stronger than not using it at all. As long as Long Yu mastered the demonic centipede kill art, he would definitely be able to unleash at least twice the power of the Nether Dragon Blade, or even more. Originally, there were many restrictions when he used the Nether Dragon Blade to attack. After all, he had to get close to his opponent to attack, and the danger he faced was much greater. However, if he cultivated the demonic centipede kill art, he might be able to overcome these restrictions and the danger it brought. The demonic centipede kill art was a common assassination skill in the Nightmare Legion. Although most people could cultivate it, very few were proficient in it. Apart from Hui Yuan Bai, there was only one professional assassination team in the Nightmare Legion that was truly proficient in this move. Learn this move from me. If you can achieve initial success, you'll be able to unleash the most crucial characteristic of the demonic centipede kill art. While assassinating, you'll be able to protect yourself to the greatest extent. Hui Yuan Bai threw out a bamboo slip and explained, once you've comprehended the demonic centipede kill art to initial success, you can borrow the power of the laws of heaven and earth to condense your own afterimages. As for the number of afterimages condensed, it depends on your talent. With the afterimages, the probability of your actual body encountering danger will be much lower. For example, like this. As soon as Hui Yuan Bai finished speaking, he split into 7. One Hui Yuan Bai's original body and 6 afterimages appeared in front of Long Yu. This scene made Long Yu's eyes widen. Upon closer inspection, he realized that each of the afterimages was extremely real and could not be distinguished at all. When you truly learn this move, you'll know which of the afterimages you want to be the real one. Whenever you're in danger, you can use these afterimages to change your position. Hui Yuan Bai said with a smile. In that case, the demonic centipede kill art is not weak, but why is it only high-grade black level? Long Yu was puzzled, because this is a simplified version of the demonic centipede kill art. It's used for the common cultivation of the Nightmare Legion. The real move is an incomplete desolate grade martial skill that I obtained in the past. Hui Yuan Bai shook his head with some regret. Based on my understanding of martial skills and the laws of heaven and earth, I simplified this high-grade, profound rank assassination technique. However, it is extremely difficult to bring out the true power of this technique. With a thought, Long Yu asked, what is the name of this great desolate grade martial technique? Primordial Shadow Kill. Well, Yuan Bai said, but I only have the upper half, so I can only cultivate it to the pinnacle. It would be impossible for him to reach the consummate transcendent or transcendent. If you want to see it, I can show it to you. Yes. Long Yu nodded. His eyes were burning with passion. A great desolate level martial skill. This was a terrifying martial skill on the same level as the Dark Dragon 9 explosions. Moreover, it was an assassination martial skill. But don't be greedy, Hui Yuan Bai reminded. I once let 2 good friends practice this primordial shadow kill. But in the end, they went berserk from practicing this martial skill and committed suicide. Although I don't know the reason, but, Dragon Boy, it's best if you don't practice this martial skill. The high-grade profound, ranked demonic centipede kill art is just right for you. When Long Yu heard this, he slightly nodded his head. Yes, I'm just taking a look. Although he said that, Long Yu could not help but feel excited. It was good to see more of a great desolate level martial skill. If he looked more, he could increase his understanding of the martial skills principles. It would only be beneficial to Long Yu. If he really cannot practice it, he could most not practice it. Soon, 2 bamboo slips with assassination martial skills appeared in front of Long Yu. One of them was the demonic centipede kill art, while the other looked ancient. There were some special patterns carved on it. This was the great desolate level martial skill that Hui Yuan Bai had obtained a long time ago, the primordial shadow kill. Among the great desolate level items, pills were naturally the least valuable, followed by combat weapons and martial skills. In other words, martial skills were the most valuable among items of the same level. A great desolate level martial skill was even more valuable than an ancient combat weapon. Unfortunately, the primordial shadow kill art was incomplete. It could even cause one to go berserk and commit suicide after practicing it. Long Yu first looked at the demonic centipede kill art. He realized that this high-grade, profound, rank martial skill was indeed easy to understand. If he were to practice it, he could definitely reach beginner level in 3 days and minor mastery in 7 days. He then started to look at the primordial shadow kill art. When he looked at the words recorded on the broken bamboo slip, he realized that he could not understand them. Furthermore, each of the words was extremely profound, as if they contained some kind of mysterious power. There was only half of the bamboo slip, and the cracks were clearly visible. The other half was nowhere to be found, and Hui Yuanbai only had this half of the bamboo slip. Primordial shadow kill. These words appeared in Long Yu's mind as he looked at the bamboo slip. It seemed like the name of this martial skill was not something that Hui Yuanbai had seen, but had somehow appeared in his mind. After a while, Long Yu finally saw some changes. The words on the bamboo slip that he could not understand suddenly turned into pictures in his mind, allowing him to understand the meaning behind them. How magical! Long Yu could not help but sigh. The bamboo slip that recorded a desolate rank martial skill was indeed different from the others. It did not use words to teach the martial skill, but instead used words to influence one's heart, allowing Long Yu to understand the meaning of the words. In this way, no matter how long it was passed down and how many years later cultivators obtained it, they would still be able to understand what was recorded. Long Yu felt the picture that the bamboo slip projected in his mind, and soon had a rough idea of the cultivation method of the primordial shadow kill. However, remembering Hui Yuanbai's words, he did not rashly give it a try. After all, this was an extremely dangerous thing. Even if Long Yu had a trump card, who knew if it would be able to deal with the hidden dangers of this martial skill? If it failed, then he would be finished. Long Yu would not take such a huge risk, mainly because there was no need to. Unfortunately, it's incomplete. Long Yu felt that it was a pity, and his consciousness was about to leave the bamboo slip. However, at this moment, he suddenly felt a familiar force in his chest, which suddenly surged into his mind. It's the Archean consciousness. Long Yu's expression changed greatly. He could feel that the force that surged into his mind was the Archean consciousness from the 9 underworld dragon. Could it be that the Archean consciousness was trying to fight with him for control of his body again? However, Long Yu soon discovered that this was not the case. When the Archean consciousness entered Long Yu's mind, Long Yu's observation of the primordial shadow kill in his mind suddenly became clearer, and words that did not appear on the bamboo slip surfaced in Long Yu's mind. It's complete? Long Yu was stunned. The Archean consciousness hidden in the Netherworld Dragon Blade had actually completed the missing part of the primordial shadow kill. This was truly a miraculous discovery. After observing the complete version of the primordial shadow kill, Long Yu finally discovered the explanation on the cultivation note of this martial skill. Cultivating this martial skill required extremely strong mental fortitude and willpower, as well as special conditions. This was because after cultivating this martial skill, there would be a formless, turbid aura surrounding one's body. When there was a sufficient amount of turbid aura, it would affect one's mind, and it was not impossible for one to die suddenly. This is the truth behind the deaths of General Hua's 2 friends. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. In the cultivation note that the Archean consciousness had completed, it also explained how to restrain the formation of the turbid aura. The best way was to comprehend some kind of divine text that specialized in absorbing power and specify that it was the power of the divine text, not even the power of laws. Secondly, if one could find a relatively cool sacred ground that could cleanse one's body of the turbid aura, it would not be a problem to cultivate this martial skill. However, such a sacred ground was not easy to find. The siphon divine text should be able to absorb the turbid aura, right? Long Yu's eyes lit up. Wasn't this tailor-made for him? After receiving the confirmation from the Archean consciousness, Long Yu became excited. A great desolate martial skill was not something that could be found anywhere. Most importantly, he discovered that the Archean consciousness hidden in the Nether Void Dragon Dagger had the miraculous ability to complete martial skills. Although he was surprised, it was still a good thing. Very quickly, his consciousness withdrew from the bamboo slip and lifted his head to smile at Hui Yuanbai. Thank you for sharing it, General. You're welcome. You can cultivate here for a period of time. Once you've comprehended the demonic slaughter art, you can go find some martial cultivators in the Ghost Evil County to kill. Hui Yuanbai smiled. Now that Zhou Xiongliang is dead, his father, who is still in Azura Valley, will definitely send someone to deal with it. But that will only happen a few days later. You can use this time to cultivate. And Long Yu nodded. He knew what Hui Yuanbai meant. He didn't want him to meet the vice commander of the Imperial Army. Otherwise, the vice commander would kill him immediately. There were still 2 months left. It was best to go out and kill some martial cultivators in the Ghost Evil County. It would be best if he could obtain important information or kill some important figures in the Ghost Evil County. This way, Long Yu would have made a great contribution. With the protection of the Azura Prefecture King, even the vice commander of the Imperial Army would not dare to touch him, be it in the open or in the dark. Hui Yuanbai did not know that Long Yu wanted to comprehend the ancient desolate shadow kill, but he would find out soon. Chapter 477. In Hui Yuanbai's camp, Long Yu started to comprehend the ancient desolate shadow kill. Although the demonic slaughter art was easier to comprehend, who would be stupid enough to learn a simplified version of a low-ranked martial skill when there was a complete high-ranked martial skill available? Furthermore, Long Yu had his own ways to overcome the flaws of the ancient desolate shadow kill. The simplified version of the demonic slaughter art required one to comprehend it to minor perfection before one could condense an afterimage, allowing one to freely switch between the afterimages. However, the true ancient desolate shadow kill only required a beginner to learn it. The essence of the ancient desolate shadow kill lay in the word shadow. Afterimages were the essence of the ancient desolate shadow kill. If one could cultivate the ancient desolate shadow kill to a higher level, one would be able to control the afterimages to do more things. Simply put, this was a martial skill that controlled afterimages. Learning to condense an afterimage was naturally the most basic of the basics. With the help of the immemorial consciousness, Long Yu's comprehension speed was naturally not slow. Just like the 9 Underworld Dragon Seal, the Void Underworld Dragon Blade seemed to contain all the functions of the 9 Underworld Dragon Seal. One of them was to increase Long Yu's comprehension speed. In just 3 days, Long Yu was able to successfully condense an ancient desolate afterimage. Long Yu stood alone in the yard of the camp. He smiled as he looked at the ancient desolate shadow that looked exactly like him. Not only did the primordial shadow look exactly the same as his actual body, but even the aura it emitted was exactly the same as well. Release drunken yellow springs for me. With a thought, the ancient desolate shadow in front of Long Yu threw a punch at his body. The netherworld chi instantly spread out and formed the yellow springs path, as if it was trying to envelop Long Yu. Long Yu did not block. He wanted to see if his ancient desolate shadow was truly offensive. Very soon, he was sure that the ancient desolate shadow was no different from his body. The only difference was that the body was controlling it. Long Yu was knocked into the yellow springs by the ancient desolate phantom's fist. He was also in a sorry state. However, he managed to block the fist with the yellow springs barrier. His face was filled with excitement. This primordial afterimage is practically a duplicate of me. Now that I can form a primordial afterimage, my combat strength has doubled. If I can launch a pincer attack with the afterimage, I'll definitely be able to defeat even a heavenly tribulation realm expert. Long Yu's eyes flickered. This ancient desolate shadow kill was indeed a great desolate grade martial technique. In comparison, the Devil Corpse killing art that Long Yu saw Hui Yuanbai display wasn't as powerful. Although the 6 desolate dead shadows looked like his body, was Yang Long to Hui Yuanbai Hun Long, that he was Yu Hun Drunk Martial Yang Long Yang Chun and Dead Yu Martial Su. Unlike the ancient desolate shadow that Long Yu condensed, the power of the martial technique was exactly the same as the body. Moreover, the ancient desolate shadow's effect wasn't limited to just that. With a thought, Long Yu tried to switch, only to find his vision turning black. He then shifted his consciousness to the ancient desolate shadow. No, it's not a shift of consciousness. Rather, the ancient desolate shadow kill and the body have switched directions through the nether void dragon blade's spatial power. Very quickly, Long Yu understood what was going on. It seemed that if he wanted to comprehend the ancient desolate shadow kill, he would need the assistance of spatial force. Otherwise, what he learned would be an incomplete ancient desolate shadow kill. Of course, Long Yu didn't comprehend spatial power, but it wasn't a big deal for the experts of Azura Province. For example, Hui Yuanbai and his two friends who died cultivating the ancient desolate shadow kill. In the Shunwu world, many martial artists have mastered spatial power. If a weapon refiner has mastered spatial power, they can create spatial weapons that can store items. Spatial weapons that can store items are rare on the Heavenly Mandate Island, but there are more than 100 of them, not to mention the entire Azura Province and the Shunwu world. Therefore, spatial power isn't much in the Shunwu world. Among the over 9,000 laws of heaven and earth, there are many spatial laws. Not to mention the divine script. There's a specific type of divine script that has the spatial attribute. With the Nether Void Dragon Blade, Long Yu didn't need to comprehend spatial power to perform the ancient desolate shadow kill. This was his advantage. In just 3 days, Long Yu had comprehended the ancient desolate shadow kill to beginner level. It was about time for him to leave. With this technique, I don't need to be too afraid of martial artists from the Ghost Evil Province in the Nightmare Mountain Range. But if there are Mystery Realm opponents, I still need to avoid them. Long Yu thought to himself. In these 3 days, Hui Yuanbai often watched him cultivate and naturally found out that he wasn't cultivating the demonic centipede art, but the ancient desolate shadow kill. Although he didn't know that Long Yu could solve the drawbacks of the ancient desolate shadow kill, but seeing Long Yu practice the ancient desolate shadow kill, he was quite pleased. Although Hui Yuanbai previously tried to persuade Long Yu to cultivate the demonic centipede art, if he really thought so, he wouldn't have taken out the bamboo scroll. This old general was clearly trying to tempt Long Yu to learn the ancient desolate shadow kill. After all, this was a grand desolate level martial art. His two friends had died to this martial art, which made him extremely regretful. Now, he really wanted to see this martial art shine. If something were to happen to Long Yu while cultivating this martial art, it had nothing to do with Hui Yuanbai. After all, Hui Yuanbai didn't let Long Yu learn it in the first place. Instead, he was trying to persuade Long Yu to cultivate the demonic centipede art. This was more or less self-deceiving, but it also made Hui Yuanbai feel guilty towards Long Yu. In these 3 days, he had purposely forged an earth-level defensive weapon for Long Yu. Be careful when you go deeper into the Nightmare Mountain Range. I've recorded the techniques that the martial artists from the Ghost Evil Province often use in this bamboo scroll. You must take a good look. Before Long Yu left, Hui Yuanbai handed a bamboo scroll and a silver metal lock to Long Yu. This is an earth-level high-grade defensive weapon I've forged for you. I haven't named it yet, so pick one yourself. The main material is bright silver, and I've added quite a few green diamonds. Just its toughness alone can withstand the strongest attack of a Divinity Realm expert. Bright silver and green diamonds. Long Yu's eyes lit up. Having worked in the sun mining area, he naturally knew what bright silver and green diamonds were. The gray metal walls he'd seen in the mine were called gray silver. Even a Heavenly Tribulation realm martial artist would have to spend a lot of effort to destroy them. Bright silver, on the other hand, was a metal even tougher than gray silver. According to Hui Yuanbai, a Divinity Realm martial artist wouldn't be able to destroy bright silver with a single blow. Not to mention, Hui Yuanbai had added green diamonds to the silver metal lock, which increased its toughness by several times. It was only natural that it could withstand the strongest attack of a Divinity Realm expert. However, this was only the main body of the silver metal lock. Long Yu took the bamboo scroll and the metal lock. Let's call it Silver Prism Lock. It didn't matter what the combat weapon was called. Many of the combat weapons Long Yu possessed were just random names he'd come up with. There was no standard to speak of. Initially, The silver prism lock was only the size of Long Yu's palm. Such a small lock naturally couldn't protect Long Yu's entire body. He could only channel his mystical chi into the combat weapon to activate the weapon refinement formation within. Then, the silver prism lock would be able to spread out a light barrier to block attacks for Long Yu. After all, it was a high-grade, Earth-ranked defensive combat weapon, and the weapon refinement formation within it was of a very high level. The light barrier it could activate could at least withstand the attack of a Heavenly Tribulation realm martial artist. As for a Divinity Realm expert's attack, it wouldn't be that easy to block. Of course, as Long Yu's martial realm increased, the defensive capabilities of the combat weapon he could activate would also become stronger. If Hui Yuanbai wielded this combat weapon, the light barrier he could activate will be able to withstand a full-powered attack from at least 7 Divinity Realm experts. The power of a combat weapon depended on its wielder's martial realm. For the current Long Yu, the most important thing was to increase his martial Dao realm. As for other things, such as martial skills, battle weapons, etc., he already had very high-grade treasures. General Hua, wait. Long Yu smiled when he heard that Hui Yuanbai had added some cyan prismatic diamond to the silver prism lock. He then took out a fist-sized cyan prismatic diamond from his storage space. General, I found this cyan prismatic diamond when I was mining. I'll give it to you now. You're a weaponsmith, so it'll be much more useful to you than to me. Hui Yuanbai was stunned when he saw the fist-sized cyan prismatic diamond in Long Yu's hand. This Hui Yuanbai pointed at the cyan prismatic diamond, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets. Is this really a cyan prismatic diamond? Why is it so big? General Hua, feel free to take a look and see if it's real. Puzzled, Long Yu tossed the cyan prismatic diamond to Hui Yuanbai. Hui Yuanbai caught the cyan prismatic diamond excitedly. Not bad, kid. Such a big cyan prismatic diamond has never appeared even in our Nightmare Legion's minds. This can be used to forge a combat weapon. It's definitely a heaven upper rank or above. Long Yu was surprised. He didn't expect a fist-sized cyan prismatic diamond to be so useful. It could be used to forge a heaven upper rank combat weapon. Of course, this was only limited to small combat weapons like the silver prism lock. It was wishful thinking to use a cyan prismatic diamond to forge a combat weapon with defensive armor. Chapter 478. After much persuasion, Long Yu finally allowed Hui Yuanbai to take the fist-sized green-edged diamond. However, Hui Yuanbai said that it was a huge gift that was much more valuable than the silver lock he gave to Long Yu. He would definitely return the favor to Long Yu if he had the chance. Long Yu did not say much. Since Hui Yuanbai did not want to owe him a favor, it was not a bad thing for him to get more benefits. Immediately after, Long Yu bid farewell to Hui Yuanbai and Rin Pingfan and prepared to head into the depths of the Nightmare Mountains alone. Rin Pingfan had wanted to tag along, but Long Yu had his own plans, and it would be inconvenient for Rin Pingfan to tag along. Hence, he rejected the latter's suggestion. You must be careful when you're alone in the depths of the Nightmare Mountains. If anything happens, I won't be able to save you even if I wanted to. If that happens, the princess will definitely kill me. Rin Pingfan said with a tearful face. Don't worry, I won't die that easily. Long Yu chuckled. I'll be leaving first. I'll set off at night in case someone follows me. Rin Pingfan reminded him again. After a long time, Long Yu was finally able to leave Hui Yuanbai's campsite. Before leaving, Long Yu took out a thumb-sized green-edged diamond and gave it to Rin Pingfan. The fatty was so grateful that he burst into tears. This was an extremely precious item and was one of the top materials for weapon refinement in the entire Shura Prefecture. Under the night sky, Long Yu soared through the air alone, flying towards the depths of the Devil Nightmare mountain range. He was not too worried about his safety on this trip. After all, he had the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda that could save his life at critical moments. Unless a super expert from the Emperor Path Mystic Realm intervened, no one could do anything to Long Yu. What he was more worried about was whether he would be able to earn enough credit. Regardless of whether it was killing the martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil County or obtaining enough important information, both were extremely difficult for Long Yu. It would not be easy to achieve them. Luckily, he had 2 months of time, so he would definitely be able to plan properly. Long Yu did not have a good impression of the Guixia prefecture. The martial arts practitioners of the Ghost Evil County had come to the Shura County for no reason and captured Lu Yuan's parents on Heavenly Mandate Island. They had also planted a hell demon seed in Lu Yuan's father, Lu Qing, in an attempt to control everyone on Heavenly Mandate Island. Long Yu no longer had a good impression of the people from the Ghost Evil County. Someone is following me. Long Yu flew through the night sky, purposely moving through a secluded area with no one around. However, he did not expect that he would still feel someone following him from behind. At this moment, Long Yu was about 4 to 5,000 zhang away from Hui Yuanbai's camp. If a battle were to break out, Hui Yuanbai would definitely not be able to rush to his aid. "Since you killed my brother, I'll make you pay with your life." A ruthless roar rang out from the darkness behind him. Following that, Long Yu felt the tyrannical pressure enveloping his body with a loud bang. This tyrannical pressure definitely belonged to a powerhouse in the Heavenly Tribulation realm. Coupled with what the other party had said, Long Yu immediately understood the other party's identity. "It's one of the 2 martial arts practitioners guarding me. Cheng Yi died in my hands. I didn't expect this person to choose to stay near the camp and wait for me to come out." Long Yu's expression changed slightly. Then, the shadow wings appeared and a burst of shadow chi erupted, directly dispersing the other party's tyrannical pressure by more than half. Long Yu's speed returned to normal as he rapidly flew forward. However, another silhouette appeared in front of him very quickly. This silhouette was wielding a long sword, and a pair of butterfly-like multicolored wings flapped continuously behind his back, appearing extremely strange. The target has appeared. This person was actually also a powerhouse in the Heavenly Tribulation realm. Judging from his attire, he should not be from the Nightmare Legion. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. He looked at Long Yu as if he was looking at a fat sheep. "Working together to kill me." Long Yu immediately knew that the other party was lying in ambush here to kill him. At this moment, who in the Nightmare Mountain range would want Long Yu's life the most? Without a doubt, it was Deputy General Zhou Li. He had sent people to keep an eye on the surroundings. Once Long Yu appeared, they would attack and kill him. This could be said to be the safest place to launch a sneak attack. As long as no powerhouse in the Divine Ability Secret Realm appeared, it would not attract the attention of the nearby Hui Yuanbai. Why would they need powerhouses in the Divine Ability Secret Realm to deal with a Human Tribulation Realm kid? Zhou Li did not think too much about it. Even with Cheng Yi's brother's reminder, he only sent 4 or 5 Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial art practitioners. In this way, would they make a mistake when dealing with a mere Human Tribulation Realm kid? Hovering in the air, Long Yu saw a total of 6 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts appear one after another and surround him. Right in front of them was a skinny man with a long sword in his hand and a pair of multicolored butterfly wings on his back. He seemed to be the leader of this group of people. He looked at Long Yu with slight disdain and said, "A Human Tribulation Realm brat actually wants us to mobilize 5 people. What a waste. However, since the Deputy General has paid the price, we should do our job properly. Don't let this brat escape." Apart from Cheng Yi's brother, these 5 people seemed to be from a certain organization. At this moment, they were hired by Deputy General Zhou Li to kill Long Yu. Long Yu was not surprised. Zhou Li's reputation in the Nightmare Legion was not good. As long as someone still wanted his position as Deputy General, it was impossible for them to send people from the Nightmare Legion to kill him. They could only hire someone else. It just so happened that there were many martial arts practitioners in the mining area of the Nightmare Mountain range. Zhou Li only needed to pay some money, and he could easily hire a group of people to deal with Long Yu. At this moment, Cheng Yi's brother quickly caught up from behind and surrounded Long Yu with the other 5 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. Given the current situation, although he could use the ancient Dragon Bone Tower to escape, it was a little too useless to use it right after he set off. What would he do if he reached the Ghost Evil Prefecture? 6 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts. I want to see how many I can handle with my current strength. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. If it was just one Heavenly Tribulation Realm expert, or even two Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts, they wouldn't pose any threat to Long Yu. But now, 6 people had appeared to join forces to kill him. No experts of the Sacred Ability Realm appeared. Long Yu probably knew that they were afraid of attracting the attention of Hui Yuanbai, who was not far away. As for those who did not reach the Sacred Ability Realm, at this distance, Hui Yuanbai would not be able to sense them. Long Yu did not think that he had the ability to fight 6 people alone. Therefore, his priority was to kill 1 or 2 of them first. When the 6 people closed in on Long Yu with boiling killing intent, Long Yu's lips curled up slightly. The profound qi in his body immediately whistled out. Ancient Desolate Shadow Kill. Afterimage appear. An afterimage that was exactly the same as him instantly appeared in front of him. Immediately after, it flew down into the forest below and used the Dragon Sparrow instant flash. Its speed surprised the 6 Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial arts practitioners. You two, go after the one below. When a man with butterfly wings saw this, he narrowed his eyes and ordered his 2 subordinates. This is the Nightmare Legion's martial technique, Demon Nightmare Kill Art. The afterimage can be switched with the main body. Don't let him escape. After saying this, 2 martial arts practitioners, 1 fat and 1 skinny, immediately chased after the Ancient Desolate Shadow. As for the remaining 4 people, they immediately attacked Long Yu. The man with the butterfly wings condensed a burst of lightning on his sword with a thought. It formed a bolt of lightning that swept towards Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. Switch. When faced with the 4 people's joint attack, Long Yu naturally used the Void Nether Dragon Blade spatial power to switch places with the Ancient Desolate Shadow as quickly as possible. This way, his main body would only have to face 2 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts, while his afterimage would have to face 4 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts. The main body was mainly used to kill the enemy, while the afterimage was used to delay the opponent. When Long Yu saw the fat and skinny martial arts practitioners charging at him with long whips, he immediately turned around and threw 2 punches in succession, awakening Samsara Palm, drunk lying in the Yellow Springs. The Netherworld Qi spread out, and the Yellow Springs Spirit and the Yellow Springs Path appeared one after another in an attempt to restrain the 2 martial arts practitioners. Unfortunately, due to the huge difference in their martial Dao realms, Long Yu's 2 martial techniques could no longer completely restrain the other party. They could only slow down the other party slightly. Immediately after, black snowflakes fell from all directions. When the dark sky snow dragon roar swept out, it instantly enveloped the 2 people. Dragonheart Decree. When the domain created by the dark sky snow dragon roar enveloped the 2 people, Long Yu directly used his killer move. The other party was still hundreds of feet away from Long Yu, but Long Yu's Dragonheart Decree blasted through the air. As a dragon's roar rang out, the expression of the fat man holding the whip immediately froze. He felt an extremely strange power that made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Explode. Long Yu's cold voice rang out. Instantly, the fat man's heart felt like it was about to explode. Unfortunately, the fat man was not so easily killed. Feeling the immense power of Long Yu's Dragonheart Decree, Fatty's eyes popped out. Following that, his entire body suddenly turned into a human-shaped rock. His heart, blood vessels, and everything else had actually turned into stone. Petrification to protect yourself? Not bad. Seeing this, Long Yu no longer paid attention to the fat man. Instead, he focused his attention on the skinny man who was closer to him. Breaking through the layers of obstacles, the skinny man swung the long whip in his hand at Long Yu. With a dragon's roar, the whip turned into the shadow of a long dragon, intending to blast Long Yu into pieces. Silver Prism Lock block. Primordial Shadow Kill. Long Yu raised his hand and threw out the high-ranked, Earth-ranked combat weapon he had just obtained, using it to block his opponent's dragon whip. As for Long Yu himself, he instantly burst out with unparalleled speed. With the nether dragon blade in his hand, he instantly broke through the dragon whip and approached the skinny man, executing the primordial shadow kill. If the primordial shadow kill was the foundation of the primordial shadow kill, then the assassination method was the foundation of the foundation. Chapter 479. Ancient Desolation Shadow Kill was an authentic Great Desolate level martial skill. Even though it was performed by Long Yu, who was in the human tribulation realm, it still made the skinny man feel a strong sense of threat. Not good. The skinny man's expression changed slightly. He hooked the long whip in his hand, and the dragon-shaped whip immediately turned around and coiled towards the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into. Break! Long Yu did not give up. He continued to move forward with an indestructible will. In the next moment, the dragon-shaped whip directly wrapped around his body, and a terrifying power suddenly burst out. However, Long Yu had transformed into a pitch-black blade and directly cut the long whip combat soldier in half. Although he had suffered a lot of injuries, he was not seriously injured with the defense of the Silver Prism Lock. Moreover, his body had been tempered by the law of Dark Thunder, and he had also comprehended the self-healing divine rune. Such a small injury was nothing to him. However, the long whip combat soldier was a mid-ranked Earth-level combat weapon, and it was actually cut in half by the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into. The skinny man almost couldn't react to this scene. Even if he was a Heavenly Tribulation Realm expert, he could not destroy a mid-ranked Earth-level combat weapon with just one move. However, this human tribulation realm brat in front of him had actually destroyed his long whip with just one move. The destructive power was simply too terrifying. Not only that, the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into did not stop after cutting the long whip. It continued to pounce towards the skinny man like a pitch-black meteor in the dark night sky. Royal Stone Brick. The skinny man clenched his teeth and directly condensed a huge stone in front of him and smashed it towards Long Yu. This was an Earth-level martial skill, and it was also the main martial skill that the skinny man used for defense. If even this move could not stop Long Yu Bang, the Imperial Stone Brick that he had formed was directly shattered by the pitch-black blade that Long Yu had transformed into. However, this time, it had stopped Long Yu's momentum from continuing forward. In the end, it was still an Earth-rank defensive martial technique. After Long Yu shattered the Imperial Stone Brick, the aura of the ancient desolate shadow kill disappeared without a trace. As expected of a Heavenly Tribulation realm martial cultivator, he has quite a few tricks up his sleeves. It won't be as easy to deal with him as I imagined. Long Yu stopped and looked to the side. He saw that Fatty, who had turned into a stone, was gradually unraveling, as if he wanted to return to his original form. When Long Yu saw this, he naturally wouldn't let them have their way. Dark Dragon 9 explosions gained the upper hand. A dragon's roar exploded near the Fatty's heart. At this moment, the Fatty's entire body trembled, and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The Fatty didn't expect that during the time he had been petrified, Long Yu's shadow hadn't been dealt with. Not only was it not dealt with, but it could also attack him when he had just woken up. His heart was already extremely weak from the Dragon Heart Edict, and he had relied on the power of the divine script that had petrified him to escape death. However, now, Long Yu's Dark Dragon 9 explosions, this great desolate level martial technique, was unleashed again. Although it was only the first explosion, its power wasn't something that his weak heart could withstand, and it immediately exploded. The Fatty's eyeballs bulged, and the blood in his body surged. Even if I die, I won't let you have it easy. The Fatty was on the verge of death, and his mind was close to going crazy. He immediately gathered all the power in his body, and it exploded in all directions. Damn it, it's self-destruction. The ones closest to him were Long Yu and the skinny man with the broken whip. When the two of them saw this, they immediately retreated. Long Yu used Dragon Sparrow Instant Flash and retreated hundreds of feet away. As for the skinny man, he looked at the whip in the Fatty's hand with some pity. Then he also used his movement technique and retreated hundreds of feet away. Immediately after, the power of the laws of heaven and earth, the power of the divine script that the fatty had comprehended, all gathered together and exploded. The fatty's heart had been destroyed by long-used Dark Dragon 9 explosions. Even if he didn't want to die, he would still die. In his mind, he might as well let out one last light before he died. Perhaps he could drag one or two down with him. Since he was going to die anyway, what was the point of thinking so much? The fatty's body suddenly exploded, and all kinds of power roared out. This time, it was impossible for Hui Yuanbai not to notice. Idiot! When the skinny man who was hiding far away saw this, he immediately cursed in his heart. Wasn't this fatty exposing their whereabouts? If Hui Yuanbai felt the power exploding here, he definitely wouldn't just stand by and watch. At that time, their mission would be in vain. Perish! Just as the fatty self-destructed, long-used primordial shadow, which had been surrounded by the four people, finally exploded with all its strength and was completely shattered by the man with butterfly wings wielding a longsword. However, before the primordial shadow was destroyed, it also used all kinds of techniques to cause trouble for the four people. The Imperial Water Screen, Imperial Water Whirlpool, Heavenly Mandate Divine Light, Dark Dragon 9 Explosions, Dragon Sparrow Dance, and other martial techniques were all used by the primordial shadow. Reincarnation Barrier, Underworld Barrier, and various other defensive techniques were used, which was why it could last for so long. Not only that, under the control of Long Yu, the primordial shadow directly used the power of the Siphon Divine Script to cripple Cheng Yi's brother. An afterimage withstood the attacks of the four people and even seriously injured one of them. It had to be said that the primordial shadow was powerful and definitely lived up to its name as a desolate-level martial technique. Let's finish this quickly. Hui Yuanbai is about to find us. Seeing that the fatty had chosen to self-destruct, the power of his self-destruction had reached the level of the secret realm of divinity. The expression of the man with butterfly wings changed. He spun the long sword in his hand, and the tip of the sword moved swiftly, condensing 9 sword lights in a row, and swept towards Long Yu, who was thousands of feet away. Wind Butterfly Sword. The strange man snorted coldly. The 9 sword lights followed the night wind and instantly appeared in front of Long Yu. Silver Prism Lock. Long Yu's expression changed slightly upon seeing this. He hadn't expected his opponent's sword light to arrive so quickly. One had to realize that there was a distance of 10,000 feet between them. Even the Dragon Sparrow instant teleportation couldn't cover such a long distance in an instant. However, since there was only one person attacking, Long Yu was able to block it. Under the activation of his profound chi, the silver prism lock flickered with a layer of silver light barrier, directly blocking the opponent's first bright sword light. Moreover, it didn't shatter. After all, it was a high earth-level defensive weapon, and it was personally refined by Hui Yuanbai. If it couldn't even block the martial skill of a heavenly tribulation expert, then it was too weak. However, in the next moment, that resplendent sword light actually exploded. The power of the sword, Qi, actually transformed into a series of wind butterflies. They were all spiritual bodies, and they passed through the light barrier of the silver edge lock, continuing to pounce towards Long Yu. Although he didn't know how powerful these wind butterflies were, Long Yu naturally wouldn't let them get close to his body. Nether Dragon 9 Explosions. Long Yu shouted, and the netherworld Qi exploded in front of him, instantly enveloping all the wind butterflies. Then, more and more wind butterflies flew out as the 9 sword lights were blocked, and all of them were swept into the netherworld Qi. The netherworld Qi seemed to be able to restrain these wind butterfly spirits. With a dragon's roar, all the wind butterflies disappeared without a trace. However, at this time, the man with butterfly wings and the other 4 people also rushed towards Long Yu, and the distance between them was shortened by a lot in the blink of an eye. After the fatty self-detonated, there were only 5 of them left. However, they still had no doubt that they could kill Long Yu. If they couldn't even kill a human tribulation expert with so many heavenly tribulation experts, Wouldn't they become the laughingstock of others? As the leader of this group, Feng Di didn't need to continue staying in Azura County. Netherworld Blood Shadow. Long Yu raised his hand and threw out the invisible weapon. His target was Cheng Yi's brother, who was seriously injured by Long Yu's afterimages. The Netherworld Blood Shadow was useless against ordinary Heavenly Tribulation experts. They could easily disperse it with a burst of aura. However, to Cheng Yi's brother, who was seriously injured, it was extremely disgusting. The Netherworld Blood Shadow was covering his body and trying to absorb his blood, causing him great pain. It was already impressive for him to be able to unleash 1/10 of the strength of a Heavenly Tribulation expert. Most importantly, the Netherworld Blood Shadow was invisible. Since the guy was surrounded by the Netherworld Blood Shadow, the others couldn't do anything to help him. Get to the side, don't die. The strange-looking man, Feng Di, harumphed coldly and waved his sword. Once again, a sword ray was formed and shot towards Long Yu. Hidden Divine Rune, Dragon Sparrow's shadow, explode. Long Yu's lips curled into a smile when he saw the four of them attacking him from the same direction. He activated the Hidden Divine Rune, and his figure instantly disappeared from their sight. At the same time, he merged with the Black Dragon Sparrow's shadow and unleashed an incredible speed. He didn't run away, but approached his opponents instead. Not long after, he arrived next to the unlucky guy who was entangled by the Netherworld Blood Shadow. Wait for me to execute the Hidden Divine Rune. Seeing Long Yu execute the Hidden Divine Rune, the eyes of one of the martial cultivators in a white robe lit up. He finally had a chance to put his skills to good use. He raised his hand, and his eyes emitted a golden light. It was like a scorching sun, illuminating the entire space in front of him. Everything that was hiding in the darkness was exposed. Of course, this included Long Yu, who had executed the Hidden Divine Rune. However, the martial cultivator in a white robe subconsciously thought that Long Yu had executed the Hidden Divine Rune to escape. Therefore, he was searching in the direction that Long Yu had escaped to. To his surprise, Long Yu had gone behind them and arrived in front of Cheng Yi's brother, who was entangled by the Netherworld Blood Shadow. When the martial cultivator in a white robe reacted, he immediately turned around and illuminated Long Yu. However, it was too late. The Netherworld Dragon blade in Long Yu's hand had already pierced into Cheng Yi's chest. Chapter 480. Seeing Long Yu kill 2 people in a row, the remaining 4 people's expressions changed drastically. They were all Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts. When they first came to intercept Long Yu, a Human Tribulation Realm martial cultivator, they didn't take him seriously at all. It was only because Deputy General Zhou Li offered a higher price that they reluctantly came along. But now, they finally knew that Zhou Li was right. This kid was only in the Human Tribulation Realm, but he had the terrifying strength to kill a Heavenly Tribulation Realm expert. 6 of them had come, but one of them had self-detonated, and another one had been killed by Long Yu. Could they really deal with this kid? Moreover, the commotion caused by the fatty self-detonation would definitely attract Hui Yuanbai's reinforcements. When that happened, it would be even more impossible for them to kill Long Yu. Concentrate your firepower and kill him. The strange man, Feng Di's face darkened. He waved the long sword in his hand, and suddenly, several sword chi surged out and swept toward Long Yu. Every single one of these streaks of sword chi had a terrifying destructive power. Even if Long Yu was hit by just one of them, he would at least be seriously injured, even if he had the Thunderstorm Tyrant body and the self-healing Divine Runes. Silver Prism Lock. Long Yu raised his hand and threw out the Silver Prism Lock. He did not use his Xian Qi to activate it, but directly used it to block one of the Sword Qi light beams. Immediately after, Long Yu moved, and the Dragon Sparrow wings appeared on his back. He used the Dragon Sparrow instant teleportation to directly dodge the Sword Qi. Originally, several streams of Sword Qi had sealed off all of Long Yu's escape routes, but after being blocked by the Silver Prism Lock and defeating one of the Sword Qi, Long Yu ran out from that direction. Dragon Sparrow Shadow Fuse, shouted Long Yu. Suddenly, a pitch-black dragon sparrow appeared behind him and fused with his body, instantly increasing his speed. Even a heavenly tribulation realm expert couldn't catch up to him. He was heading in the direction of Hui Yuanbai's camp. After the previous battle, he roughly understood the limits of his combat power. Without releasing the ancient Dragonbone Tower, he could at most deal with 3 to 4 heavenly tribulation realm experts. If more people came, he wouldn't be able to deal with them. After all, the martial techniques he had learned couldn't be used casually, such as ancient primordial shadow kill and 9 dark dragon explosions. The execution of every martial skill required profound energy to flow through different meridians in the body. For example, after executing the primordial shadow kill once, if he wanted to execute it again, he would have to wait for that meridian's rhythm to calm down. Otherwise, if he used forcefully, it would easily cause his meridians to explode. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Long Yu would naturally not use the same martial technique so quickly. After recognizing his own strength, Long Yu knew it was time to shake off the remaining 4 pursuers. Of course, the easiest way was to fly in the direction of Hui Yuanbai's camp. Seeing the direction in which Long Yu was flying, and his speed was even faster than theirs, Feng Di and the other 3's expressions changed slightly. "What should we do, Boss Feng Di? Should we chase after them?" The white-robed martial cultivator's face darkened as he watched Long Yu escape. "No, let's retreat. This kid is hard to deal with, and he's Hui Yuanbai's man. It wouldn't be good if we were caught by Hui Yuanbai's men." Feng Di narrowed his eyes. He knew his own strength. He could deal with ordinary celestial being realm martial cultivators, but if he encountered Hui Yuanbai, even if it was Hui Yuanbai's divine ability realm subordinates, they would be nothing but food. The difference between the heavenly being realm and the divine ability realm was too great. After making the decision, the 4 of them immediately hid in the dense forest below the mountain range and spread out to avoid being caught by the people sent by Hui Yuanbai. Seeing this, Long Yu did not let his guard down. Who knew if these people were pretending to retreat, but were actually lying in ambush in the forest below, or in the forest ahead to surround him? If they were to meet again in the future, Long Yu would no longer be afraid of these 4 people. But the key was that he did not know if these 4 people had other accomplices. Long Yu continued flying in the direction of Hui Yuanbai's camp. As he flew, he suddenly felt his heart heat up. It was as if there were a few figures flying towards him from all directions, about to surround and kill him. This feeling caused Long Yu's mind to tense up once again, and he became extremely vigilant. "Kill!" Turning around, Long Yu saw that there was actually a martial cultivator who had stealthily snuck up behind him, wanting to launch a sneak attack on him. Without hesitation, he shouted and threw a punch at the person. The 3rd explosion of the Dark Dragon 9 explosions swept out. Spirit Blast. The roar of a dragon echoed out, causing that martial cultivator to be blasted backwards. This martial cultivator seemed to be at the heavenly tribulation realm, yet he wasn't. This caused Long Yu to furrow his brows. Just as Long Yu was feeling puzzled, he felt many martial cultivators appear in the surroundings again, and it seemed like they wanted to kill him at the same time. "Kill!" Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He could not see the faces of the martial cultivators in front of him, and he could not even see their martial cultivation realms. Something was wrong. In the next moment, he closed his eyes and paid no attention to the martial cultivators who were surrounding him. "I, Long Yu, am not a bloodthirsty person. This killing intent heart tribulation is too easy," Long Yu thought. It turned out that he soon realized that the martial cultivators that wanted to kill him were actually illusions derived from the heart tribulation. These illusions all came from his mind, from the reemergence of his heart tribulation. Even if he ignored them, these illusions would not harm him in the slightest. On the contrary, if he was unable to discover anything amiss and wantonly slaughtered the martial cultivators in his imagination, he would sink deeper and deeper, and the killing intent on his body would become stronger and stronger. Once the killing intent reached a certain level, he would not be far away from chi deviation. Long Yu closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths. When he opened his eyes again, He realized that the night sky was quiet, and the martial cultivators that wanted to kill him were nowhere to be seen. As expected, it was just a heart tribulation. "You're awake so soon?" "Not bad, not bad." A voice came from his side all of a sudden. Long Yu turned his head and saw a little fatty Ren Ping fan. This wretched fellow, after assuming the position of Devil Nightmare Legion's guest military advisor, was rather enjoying it. However, of course, he did not dare to throw the matter of Long Yu to the back of his mind. After all, this was the main reason why Shu Chan had sent him here. In fact, when Long Yu left Hui Yuanbai's camp, Ren Ping Fan had been following Long Yu all the way. When he saw that Long Yu could calmly deal with the encirclement of 6 Heavenly Tribulation Realm experts and kill 2 of them, he was even more impressed by Long Yu's talent in martial arts. No wonder the princess would invite such a person back. When Long Yu flew back and the heart tribulation started again, Ren Ping Fan had already arrived and was guarding him. After a while, Long Yu actually woke up. Ren Ping Fan could not help but sigh with emotion. Long Yu's willpower was really strong. When an ordinary person was in the human tribulation realm, they would tremble with fear when they encountered the upper, middle, and lower heart tribulations. They were afraid that they would fail the heart tribulations and stay in the human tribulation realm forever. Although it was not difficult to pass the heart tribulation, it would still take a lot of time for ordinary martial cultivators. Every time a heart tribulation appeared, it would take at least a few days to resist and eliminate it. However, after the heart tribulation appeared, it only took Long Yu a few moments to wake up. "Oh, it's you, Brother Fatty. Thank you very much." When Long Yu opened his eyes and saw Ren Ping Fan, he immediately understood what was going on. He did not expect that his heart tribulation would be so dangerous that Ren Ping Fan would approach him silently. If a heart tribulation appeared in a battle, wouldn't it be easy for him to suffer a tragedy? "Hey, we're friends. No need to be so polite." Ren Ping Fan smiled wretchedly and said, "You were besieged by Heaven's Tribulation Realm experts when you went out. It just happened to arouse your desire to kill, so the heart tribulation appeared. However, since you have passed it, it's fine. Don't worry too much about it. In the human tribulation realm, you need to go through 3 heart tribulations. Generally speaking, the heart tribulation will not appear during a battle. Most of the time, it will appear when you encounter a major accident or after your battle. Therefore, you don't have to worry that the heart tribulation will distract you during the battle. Of course, there are always exceptions. Little Brother Long, you still have to be careful during this mission and prioritize your own safety. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain it to the princess when I return." Ren Ping Fan directly said a series of words, causing Long Yu to listen and nod his head. "That's good. I was really afraid that the heart tribulation would appear during my battle." Long Yu let out a sigh of relief. "Since this journey isn't very safe, I'll send you off first. Little Brother Lai Long, take out the Azura Spirit Boat. With the Azura Spirit Boat, no one will be able to catch up to us," Ren Ping Fan said with a smile. Long Yu nodded. What he needed to do next was to go to the Ghost Evil County and earn some merits. Whether it was killing enemies or gathering information, he didn't have time to waste here. If he encountered a few more experts like the one just now, Long Yu wouldn't even be able to think about leaving. He would probably be intercepted and killed before he even saw the Ghost Evil County's cultivators. Long Yu took out the Azura Spirit Boat and gave it to Ren Ping Fan to activate. The Azura Spirit Boat's flying speed was at least 3 to 4 times faster than a Divine Ability Secret Realm cultivator. Even if Hui Yuanbai wanted to catch up, it wouldn't be that easy. However, the real danger would come when they reached the border between Azura County and Ghost Evil County. Moreover, at that time, it would be inconvenient for Ren Ping Fan to continue following Long Yu. Otherwise, if he really made some meritorious service, according to Long Yu and Ren Ping Fan's martial arts cultivation, most of the credit would definitely belong to Ren Ping Fan. Since he had chosen to take the risk, Long Yu would not shrink back. Chapter 481. After passing the second trial, Long Yu felt that his strength had become more stable, and his affinity with the laws of heaven and earth had also improved. As long as I passed the third trial, I will be able to take the Great Circle Golden Pill and attempt to break through the bottleneck and enter the heavenly beginning state. Long Yu had a deep understanding of his own path of martial arts. No matter how powerful a grand desolate level martial skill was, or how powerful the blade of Nether Dragon or the ancient Dragonbone Tower were, one would need to reach a higher realm of martial arts to unleash their full potential. With his current level of cultivation, he could not unleash the true power of a grand desolate level martial skill or battle weapon. It was already good enough that he could fight someone of a higher level. Long Yu and Rin Pingfan sat in the Azure Spirit Boat and traveled at lightning speed. This Nightmare Mountain range is so vast. Long Yu looked outside the Azure Spirit Boat, his eyes sparkling. From the start until now, they had already been flying for more than a day. The Azure Spirit Boat's speed was the hardest to find. They could fly from one end of the heavenly Mandate Island to the other in a day, but they had not even covered half of the distance in the Nightmare Mountain range. It was evident how vast the Shenwu world was, and this was only a small part of the Shura province. And the Shura province was only a province of the Tianqin dynasty. We're almost there. The Nightmare Army's line of defense is almost gone. There's a dangerous buffer zone ahead. Rin Pingfan squinted and said, in this buffer zone, there are adventurers from the Shura province and martial arts practitioners from the Ghost province. Even people from the Shura province might attack you, so I will drop you here. Of course, martial arts practitioners of the secret realm rarely appear in this buffer zone, so you don't have to worry too much. Long Yu nodded, and Rin Pingfan controlled the Azura Spirit Boat to descend. I will leave this Azura Spirit Boat with you, Rin Pingfan said. This talisman is for you. If you want to come back, activate it with your Xian Qi, and I will sense your location and come and pick you up. Of course, don't give me a signal from the depths of the Ghost Province. Haha, you better not move beyond the Nightmare Mountain range. Yes. Long Yu nodded again to show that he understood. In that case, I'll take my leave first. I'll stay in a nearby Nightmare Legion's campsite. If there's any major discovery or danger, just send a message, and I'll bring some men to help. Rin Pingfan put away the Azura Spirit Boat and threw the palm-sized model to Long Yu. After watching Long Yu throw it into his storage space, Rin Pingfan bid farewell to Long Yu. After the little fatty left, Long Yu looked around and found that he was in an extremely dense forest. Under the moonlight, it looked a little sinister. The ghostly aura was thick, making people feel very uncomfortable. I heard that the entire Ghost Evil County is shrouded in ghostly energy. Even the Nightmare Mountain range in the Ghost Evil County is being invaded by ghostly energy. Long Yu frowned, but he didn't think too much about it and started to walk forward. He didn't use the invisible divine rune because using the rune's power would consume his mental energy. If he overexerted it, he would feel dizzy and his fighting strength would drop drastically. Therefore, Long Yu normally couldn't use the hidden divine rune to hurry along the way. The dense ghost aura in the dense forest might cause some people to feel extremely uncomfortable, but to Long Yu, he did not feel too uncomfortable. The netherworld Qi can restrain this ghostly energy. Long Yu quickly discovered this point, and his heart calmed down. He didn't have a clear goal for this trip. The simplest thing he could do was to find a few cultivators from the Ghost Evil County and kill them. But even this was not easy. Long Yu sprinted through the forest with extreme speed. Not long after, he noticed many people moving around nearby. These people were either martial cultivators from the Azura County or the Azura County's Nightmare Legion's patrols. They were there to prevent people from the Ghost Evil County from invading. In this buffer zone, he could encounter the Ghost Evil County at any time, so Long Yu had to be careful. However, Long Yu didn't think too much about the people from the Azura County. Rin Pingfan and Hui Yuanbai both said that the Ghost Evil County cultivators only needed one look to know who they were. Because the cultivators from the Ghost Evil County all comprehended the Shadow Divine Rune, or the law of heaven and earth that was filled with ghostly energy, they looked gloomy and eerie. Long Yu traveled through the forest, and his mental energy was unprecedentedly focused. After running for hundreds of miles, Long Yu finally realized that the ghostly energy around him was getting thicker. It seemed like he was getting closer to the ghost evil county. Suddenly, a gust of wind came from above his head, as if it wanted to kill him on the spot. Silver prism lock. Without thinking, Long Yu raised his hand and activated his Earth high rank combat weapon, the silver prism lock. A silver light screen appeared and blocked the gust of wind. Long Yu raised his head. Only then did he see that it was a gloomy martial cultivator wearing a gray robe who was currently sneaking up on him from above. A cultivator from the ghost evil county. Long Yu's pupil shrank. This cultivator from the ghost evil county was really strange. Not only could Long Yu not sense his presence, he couldn't even see through his cultivation level. However, judging from the fact that the gust of wind from the sneak attack was blocked by the silver prism lock, this person was definitely not in the divine secret realm. This made Long Yu feel slightly relieved. Kiki, the gray-robed cultivator from the ghost evil county, sneered and suddenly turned into gray smoke, disappearing in front of Long Yu. Another divine character similar to the hidden divine character. With such power, no wonder he dares to run amok in a place like this. Long Yu raised his guard. The opponent must have set up an ambush here to kill the cultivators from the Shura County and rob them of their combat weapons, pills, and other treasures. If Long Yu had comprehended the power of the radiant divine runes from the white-robed cultivator who had surrounded him earlier, he should have been able to find the white-robed cultivator. Unfortunately, the current Long Yu was unable to do so. When there was someone like him who comprehended the divine character similar to the hidden divine character, he couldn't find the opponent at all, especially when the opponent didn't have any killing intent. No killing intent. Could it be that this person doesn't want to kill me? Long Yu's heart started beating faster. He didn't know what the opponent was trying to do. Since he couldn't find any trace of the other party, Long Yu continued forward. Suddenly, his figure flashed, and he used the hidden divine character, directly disappearing from this dense forest. What bad luck! I didn't expect this kid to also comprehend the divine character. After Long Yu disappeared, the gray-robed cultivator from the ghost evil county appeared in the dark with a gloomy face. The reward I was about to get is gone just like that. No one knew what the reward was, but it was obvious that it had something to do with Long Yu's identity. Long Yu never thought that this was his first time coming to the ghost evil county's territory, but he was already being watched. After using the divine character hidden, Long Yu walked around the area twice, but he didn't see the gray-robed cultivator. He could only continue to move forward while remaining invisible. If all the cultivators in the ghost evil county were like this, then it wouldn't be easy to kill a few of them. When Long Yu used the divine character hidden, even a cultivator in the heavenly tribulation realm couldn't easily detect him, let alone a cultivator in the heavenly tribulation realm who used a power similar to the divine character hidden. Long Yu had no way of finding the opponent. This cast a shadow over Long Yu's heart. It seemed that this operation was definitely not as easy as he had imagined. The cultivators from a ghost evil county planted the hell demon seed in Lu Yuan's father, Lu Qing. They wanted to use this despicable method to control all the cultivators on the heavenly mandate island. I'm afraid that the cultivators from the ghost evil county are evil people. Even if they're stupid, it's not a big deal. Long Yu thought to himself and decided that the next time he met a cultivator from the ghost evil county, he would kill him on the spot. It didn't take long before his chance came. When he neared a river in the forest, he heard the eerie conversation of two martial cultivators, causing Long Yu to be quick-witted and hide at the side. In the content of the conversation, Long Yu suddenly realized that it was related to him. Logically speaking, that kid called Mountain Ghost should already be in our vicinity. If I'm lucky enough to capture him, I'll be rich. Hee hee. One of them said with a sinister smile. Don't be too optimistic. Right now, there are at least 800 people who want to catch that kid. Why don't we cooperate? Maybe we can get the reward. The other person said calmly. Cooperate with you? You're of no use to me. Since you haven't seen that kid, I will continue to look for him. The sinister person rejected the other person's proposal and was about to leave, shaking his head. Long Yu hid in the side with a gloomy face. He didn't expect that the cultivators from the ghost evil county would spread the news of his arrival so quickly. Most importantly, as long as they caught him, there would be a reward. Someone was definitely targeting him in the dark. The most likely culprit was the Zhou clan from the Shura County. If it wasn't for the Shura County, how could the people from the Ghost Evil County know that he was here? Moreover, Long Yu had no enmity with the people from the Ghost Evil County. If it wasn't for the Zhou clan, why would the people from the Ghost Evil County target him? So the Zhou clan, or Deputy General Zhou Li, is secretly communicating with the cultivators from the Ghost Evil County? This discovery didn't make Long Yu unhappy. Instead, he was happy. This was because he finally had a target that he could carry out. If he could find evidence of Deputy General Zhou Li communicating with the cultivators from the Ghost Evil County, then wouldn't he be able to prove that Deputy General Zhou Li was the traitor of Ashura County? Deputy General Zhou Li was one of the 4 deputy generals of the Devil Legion. If he could catch him, it would be a great merit. Chapter 482. Since Long Yu had discovered them, there was no way he would let them go. I'm a little worried about 2 Heavenly Tribulation Realm cultivators from the Ghost Evil Province teaming up, as I'm afraid of attracting the attention of others. However, since you split up, don't blame me. A cold glint flickered in Long Yu's eyes. He immediately made his move when he saw the 2 cultivators split up. It would be difficult for them to discover him with the invisible divine rune. It would be extremely easy for him to sneak an attack with a martial skill. Long Yu controlled his heart, not letting out the slightest bit of killing intent. He was able to sense danger through killing intent, and others were naturally able to do the same. He absolutely could not reveal any killing intent and alert the enemy. In the next moment, he got close to the treacherous martial cultivator. 9 Nether Dragon Explosions Spirit Shock. With a thought, Long Yu executed the Great Desolate martial skill, the 3rd explosion of the 9 Nether Dragon Explosions, the Spirit Shock Explosion. A dragon roar exploded behind the cultivator, causing his gray robe to flutter in the wind. He was stunned on the spot. Even if it was a Heavenly Tribulation Realm martial cultivator, he would still be severely injured by Long Yu's Desolate grade martial skill, without any preparation. The Spirit Blast caused that person to fall into a daze for a moment. At the same time, Long Yu activated the spatial energy of the dragon scale of the 9 underworlds with a single thought, teleporting that person to an independent space within the ancient Dragon Bone Tower. Done. Long Yu's lips curled upward. His goal wasn't to kill the cultivator, but to capture him alive and find out what was going on. The dragon roar only lasted for a moment, but it would definitely attract the attention of many cultivators from the Ghost Evil Province. Long Yu did not hesitate. After capturing the martial cultivator alive, he activated the dragon scale of the Hades and entered the independent space of the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. As for the 9 Nether Dragon scale, it was tossed into the river by Long Yu beforehand, allowing it to flow downstream. This way, even if the other cultivators from the Ghost Evil County came, they wouldn't be able to find Long Yu. After entering the independent space of the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda, Long Yu discovered that the gray-robed cultivator from the Ghost Evil Prefecture had woken up from the psychic blast and was observing his surroundings with a frown. On the 3rd floor of the ancient Dragon Bone Tower, this person was standing in the middle of a large hall. The surrounding walls were covered with countless dark green vines, making the entire hall seem extremely ancient. From the hall to the 4 sides, there were 4 stone walls that were also covered with dark green vines. No one knew where they led to. The cultivator from the Ghost Evil County was baffled by the sudden appearance of the Nightmare Mountain Range. Could he have found an ancient relic? That person suddenly thought to himself, and a look of excitement appeared on his face. Unfortunately, Long Yu soon appeared in front of this person and dispelled his doubts. Do you know what this place is? Long Yu, who was wearing a black robe, appeared in front of that person and asked with the corners of his mouth slightly curled up. The eyes of the cultivator from the Ghost Evil County widened when he saw Long Yu. You must be the mountain ghost. What is this place? This is the independent space inside one of my battle weapons. Long Yu smiled calmly. In other words, you're now my prisoner. I've captured you alive. Ha ha, what a joke. The cultivator burst out laughing. You're just a human tribulation realm kid, Yet you dare say you've captured a heavenly tribulation realm expert alive? Don't you think that's ridiculous? I don't think it's ridiculous. Long Yu said with a stern expression, cut the crap. I've captured you alive because I want to know something from you. If you don't cooperate with me, I won't keep you alive. What do you want from me? The gray-robed cultivator looked skinny, but his aura was not weak. He squinted his eyes and said, ask away. If I think you're qualified to know, I'll tell you. Ha ha ha. When he said this, the gray-robed cultivator from the ghost evil county mocked. Long Yu could tell that the man did not put him in his eyes. He curled his lips. He knew that he had to show this guy how powerful he was in order to make him listen to him. Primordial shadow kill. Without any hesitation, Long Yu formed an ancient shadow and pounced towards the gray-robed cultivator from the ghost evil county. You want to fight? I'll keep you company. The cultivator laughed. Demonic slaughter art, a mere Xian martial skill. Do you really think you could defeat me? As soon as he finished speaking, the cultivator from the ghost evil county raised his hand and a gray mist suddenly surged out, enveloping Long Yu's desolate ancient shadow. In the ghost evil county's martial cultivator's mind, he only needed to exert a little bit of his strength to destroy the afterimage formed by the black-level martial skill, demon vanquishing killing art. A mere Xian martial skill wanted to show off in front of him. However, he soon found out that he was wrong, ridiculously wrong. How could a profound rank martial skill be able to condense this primordial afterimage before him? Long Yu controlled the primordial shadow and turned it into a pitch-black blade that tore through the sky towards the ghost evil country's cultivator. The gray mist released by the ghost evil country's cultivator was actually broken apart by the primordial shadow's blade. The ghost evil prefecture's cultivator's expression changed. His gray mist wasn't an ordinary thing. It was an extremely strange divine rune power. It had a shadow attribute and was extremely corrosive. If it was only a primordial shadow formed by a Xian martial skill and a personal retribution realm cultivator at that, the gray mist would be able to corrode it completely. But at this moment, Long Yu's afterimage was not affected by the gray mist at all. Instead, it broke through the blockade and headed straight for the ghost evil county's cultivator. Defend. The ghost evil prefecture's cultivator's expression changed. Gray mist surged out of his body and formed a mist wall in front of him, wanting to block the ancient dragon imperial desolate shadow's assassination. Bang! The primordial afterimage transformed into a pitch-black blade that stabbed towards the fog wall. However, it was blocked. The gray fog had actually condensed into a solid form. It wasn't so easy to destroy it. However, at this moment, Long Yu himself also used Dragon Sparrow instant teleportation. With the Nether Void Dragon Blade in his hand, he attacked the ghost evil county cultivators from another direction. Die! Long Yu bellowed, purposely attracting the attention of that fellow. The ghost evil commandery cultivator moved upon hearing this. He raised his hand and directed the gray fog wall towards Long Yu's direction in an attempt to block Long Yu's attack. However, unlike the primordial shadow, Long Yu had the Nether Dragon Blade in his hand. When he used Primordial Shadow Kill, its penetrative power was much stronger. Poof! With a light sound, the gray fog wall was directly shattered by Long Yu. The pitch-black blade continued forward, and it looked like it was about to pierce through the gray-robed cultivator. However, the ghost evil prefecture's cultivator's face changed slightly. Then, he retreated at a speed that was even faster than Long Yu's Dragon Sparrow teleportation. It seemed that none of the heavenly retribution realm cultivators were simple. Each of them must have some special methods. You're pretty fast. Long Yu and the desolate ancient shadow sandwiched the ghost evil country's cultivator in the middle. Long Yu smiled and said, now what do you think? It won't be difficult for me to kill you. Even if you're trapped here, you won't be able to leave this place for the rest of your life without my permission. Did you really think that the attack just now is all your grandfather have? The cultivator snickered. It won't be that easy to kill me. Although this was what he said, after what had just happened, this person's eyes were filled with fear towards Long Yu. So you're saying that you don't want to cooperate? The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up. Very good. Goodbye. Perhaps after a while, You will regret your decision. With that, Long Yu activated the dragon scale and left the independent space of the ancient dragon bone pagoda. Since this guy didn't want to cooperate, Long Yu would just lock him up for a while. Long Yu could also try to find the other cultivators from the Guaxia County and lock them up before interrogating them one by one. Whoever didn't cooperate would be killed. That would make things much easier. Long Yu really wanted to know who sent the news of his arrival to the cultivators from the Guaxia County. Moreover, it was also important to know how these guys were related to the Guaxia County. After Long Yu left the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda, he noticed that the dragon scale had drifted down along the river. In just a short while, it had drifted a few dozen miles away. Long Yu jumped onto the shore with the dragon scale and noticed that there was still a dense forest on both sides of the river. However, the ghostly aura was even denser. Clearly, he was closer to the Guaxia County. I'll find a chance to capture 3 more cultivators from the Guaxia County and prepare to go back. There's a total of 4 captives. I should be able to get something out of them. Long Yu knew how dangerous it was for him to stay in this area. Not long after, more God Realm cultivators would come to deal with him. When that time came, it would be a tragedy. Long Yu didn't want to face God Realm cultivators. Not to mention, the cultivators from the Guaxia County were unpredictable. If a God Realm cultivator from the Guaxia County came, Long Yu wouldn't be able to escape. He would have to release the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda. Long Yu continued along the river and used the Stealth Divine Rune to search for other cultivators from the Guaxia County. Within the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda, the gray-robed cultivator from the Guaxia County was shocked when he saw Long Yu suddenly disappear. What the hell is this place? The cultivator from the Guaxia County began to run around the 3rd level of the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda, trying to find an exit. Unfortunately, without Long Yu's permission, he couldn't leave even if he found an exit. Damn it, don't tell me I've really been imprisoned by that brat. The cultivator from the Guaxia County soon had a bad feeling and used all sorts of methods to destroy the walls of the ancient Dragon Bone Pagoda. Unfortunately, the walls were something that even God Realm cultivators couldn't destroy, let alone this guy. Long Yu felt the actions of the cultivator from the Guaxia County and smirked. Soon, this guy would be more obedient and tell the truth. But just to be safe, Long Yu needed to capture a few more people. Chapter 483. Long Yu glanced over and saw a beast cultivator standing by the river. The beast cultivator had transformed into human form and was about to continue after resting for a while. This beast cultivator seemed to be a male cat demon. His claws were extremely sharp, and his eyes were extremely sharp. Long Yu recalled what Shu-chan told him. In the Shunwu world, human cultivators were the absolute rulers. As for beast cultivators, although they existed, there weren't many of them. Most of them gathered in special beast cultivator kingdoms and wouldn't easily meet other beast cultivators. For example, in the Shura Prefecture, there weren't many beast cultivators. Even if there were, they wouldn't live together with humans, so it was rare to see them. However, this Heaven Flower Realm beast cultivator appeared in front of Long Yu. It seemed like he had also comprehended the godly script or the law of heaven and earth similar to the Ghost Evil Prefecture's cultivators. It seemed like he was also searching for treasures in the Nightmare Mountain Range. The reason why the Nightmare Mountain Range became a place of contention between the Shura and Ghost Evil Prefectures was because there were many treasures in the mountain range. For example, the Green Edge Diamond was just one of them. Suddenly, the male cat demon's eyes flashed with a cold light. He looked in the direction of Long Yu. He had definitely found Long Yu. What a sharp eye, to be able to find me when I'm using the hidden divine script. With a thought, Long Yu appeared in front of the other party in a relaxed manner. As long as a beast cultivator reached the heaven realm, they would be able to transform into human form. However, they would still maintain the appearance of a beast. For example, this cat demon in front of him had a pair of special eyes that were completely different from a human cultivator's. You're a mountain ghost? The cat demon stared at Long Yu as if he was afraid that Long Yu would run away. Even though he was asking a question, it was obvious that he had already confirmed Long Yu's identity. As long as I catch you, I'll be rewarded with a heaven-level warrior. Kiki, a mere human tribulation realm cultivator, dares to trespass on the territory of the Ghost Evil Prefecture? You're courting death. The cat demon smiled eerily. He suddenly moved and attacked Long Yu like the wind. Reincarnation barrier. When Long Yu saw this, he remained calm and composed. He directly condensed the reincarnation barrier, and a layer of pitch-black defense appeared beside him, blocking the opponent's claws. Cat God's 3 paws. The cat demon let out a fierce roar, and 3-claw winds swept towards Long Yu Chuan, extremely swift and fierce. Unfortunately, the 3-claw winds were unable to break through the reincarnation barrier when they collided with it. Instead, they bounced back towards the cat demon. With my current level, I can easily defeat someone in the Tianhua realm. Seeing this, Long Yu nodded his head in satisfaction. He used the 3rd explosion of the Dark Dragon 9 explosions, the Spirit Blast, and knocked the cat demon unconscious. With a thought, Long Yu imprisoned him in the 2nd floor of the ancient Dragonbone Tower. Not long after, Long Yu finally captured 4 martial practitioners from the Ghost Province. One of them was a cat demon, a Tianhua realm demon cultivator. Among the other 3, 2 were heavenly tribulation cultivators, and one was also a Tianhua realm martial practitioner. They were all imprisoned by Long Yu in the ancient Dragonbone Tower. Long Yu interrogated the 4 of them, but they did not believe that they had been imprisoned by Long Yu. Although the cat demon did not believe it, he still told the truth to Long Yu. It turned out that the reward of capturing Long Yu with a heaven-level fighter was announced by the martial practitioners from the Ghost Province. As for how the martial practitioners received the news that Long Yu was coming, the cat demon did not know. After receiving the news, Long Yu frowned slightly. He did not let the 4 fellows go. Instead, he started to think about how to find out the truth. If it was according to what the cat demon said, then the martial cultivators who went out to search for Long Yu should not know where the news came from. If Long Yu wanted to find out, he could only go to the martial practitioners from the Ghost Province to investigate. However, that would be equivalent to walking into a trap. Once Long Yu set his sights on a goal, he would definitely work hard to achieve it. Not to mention, this was the best opportunity to expose Deputy General Zhou Li. Deputy General Zhou Li wanted Long Yu's life because of Zhou Xiongliang. Although Long Yu was no match for him, as long as he could get hold of his weakness, it would be a powerful counterattack. As long as he found evidence that Zhou Li was colluding with the martial practitioner from the Ghost Province, it would definitely be a fatal blow to Zhou Li. The Ghost Province and Shura Province were archenemies. The king of both provinces had fought many times. If the king of Shura knew that Zhou Li was colluding with the martial practitioners from the Ghost Province, he would definitely not let Zhou Li continue to be arrogant. Not to mention the deputy general of the Devil Legion. Even Zhou Li's life might not be spared. It was a pity that Long Yu lacked evidence. Although he had captured 4 martial cultivators from the Ghost Evil County, they did not know the inside story. I won't stop until I reach my goal. There's no rush to go back. Long Yu's eyes flashed. He decided to stay around for a while and see if he could find any opportunities. If he could meet any martial practitioners from the Ghost Province who knew the inside story, Long Yu only needed to subdue them, and he would be able to easily find out the truth. He would even get the evidence at the same time. Just as Long Yu decided to continue exploring the Devil Legion Mountain in the direction of the Ghost Province. In the Devil Legion Mountain in the Azura Province, a martial practitioner from the Ghost Province brought news from Hui Yuanbai's camp. The mountain Ghost Yu sent out has been captured by the Ghost Evil County. If you want to live, then come to the Ghost Evil County's camp alone. A letter was held in Hui Yuanbai's hand, and his eyes flashed with coldness. Hui Yuanbai was a terrifying 7 Daos divine realm expert, only 1 step away from the Emperor Path Secret Realm. In a one-on-one fight with him, not many people in the Ghost Province could beat him. However, if a Yuanbai went to the Ghost Evil County's camp alone, only death awaited him. One must know that the Ghost Evil County also had a 7 Daos divinity expert guarding the Nightmare Mountain range. However, it was impossible for Hui Yuanbai to ignore Long Yu's safety. If that's the case, I'll barge into the tiger's den. Hui Yuanbai had not fought with an expert for a long time. Now that he saw a junior he liked being captured by the Ghost Province, he naturally would not stand by and watch. At the same time, Hui Yuanbai was clear that the Ghost Province had captured Long Yu because someone here had snitched on him. Aside from Deputy General Zhou Li, there was no one else who would do such a thing. At the same time, I'll also look for evidence of you colluding with a martial practitioner from the Ghost Province. With this thought in mind, Hui Yuanbai soared into the sky and flew towards the direction of the Ghost Evil Country. However, before that, Hui Yuanbai passed on the news to another trusted deputy general and asked him to report everything that had happened here to the Azura Prefecture King. Colluding with the martial practitioners from the Ghost Province was an unforgivable crime in the Azura Prefecture King's eyes. As long as the Azura Prefecture King knew about this, Zhou Li would still be dead no matter how powerful his identity was. Hui Yuanbai naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. As a 7 Daos Divine Realm expert, Hui Yuanbai's speed was extremely fast, even comparable to the Shura Spirit ship. It would only take him a day to reach the Nightmare Mountain Range in the Ghost Province. A few hours after Hui Yuanbai left, a large group of people suddenly flew out of Deputy General Zhou Li's camp and headed towards the Ghost Province under Zhou Li's lead. General Hua is willing to take the risk for a mere human tribulation realm mountain ghost and wants to go to the Ghost Province to rescue him. We can't just watch General Hua die. Warriors, quickly inform the others to follow me to support General Hua. In a short period of time, Deputy General Zhou Li had gathered about 30,000 martial practitioners. Most of them were Celestial Realm experts, and there were more than 10 Divine Realm captains. These people seemed to obey Zhou Li's orders on the surface, but in reality, they were only worried about Hui Yuanbai's safety. Hui Yuanbai was their most respected general. Now, that he was going to rescue a mere human tribulation realm kid alone, it was really puzzling. However, even though they were puzzled, it was impossible for them to remain indifferent after knowing this news. Tens of thousands of people rushed towards the Ghost Province under Deputy General Zhou Li's leadership. They also dispatched many demonic horseman spirit ships for the Celestial Realm experts to sit on. It would only take a few days for them to reach the Ghost Province. As an elite army stationed in the Nightmare Mountain Range, the management of the Nightmare Legion was naturally strict. However, Zhou Li was one of the 4 deputy generals and had a high position of power. It was reasonable for him to lead more than 30,000 martial practitioners out, not to mention that they were going to support General Hui Yuanbai. Upon seeing this, the 2 deputy generals of the Nightmare Legion gathered together and discussed for a moment. Before Hui Yuanbai left, he had ordered one of the deputy generals to inform the Azura Duke and the 2 deputy generals to monitor Deputy General Zhou Li's actions. Now that Zhou Li had led people to rescue Hui Yuanbai, the 2 deputy generals were at a loss. In the end, they decided to send a small team to follow Zhou Li. As for the others, they would remain in the Nightmare Mountain Range and not act on their own. In the Nightmare Mountain Range, a great change was about to happen. Although Long Yu was the fuse of this change, it would have happened sooner or later even without him. It was only a matter of time. Deputy General Zhou Li had the ambition to usurp the position of General of the Nightmare Legion and replace Hui Yuanbai. Long Yu was only a pawn in Zhou Li's eyes, a pawn used to frame Hui Yuanbai. At this moment, Long Yu had no idea that because of him alone, the entire Nightmare Legion in the Azura County had become nervous. There were even more than 30,000 people following Zhou Li. As for what Zhou Li was planning, Chapter 484. Long Yu wandered around the Nightmare Mountain Range for a long time and saw many martial cultivators from the Ghost Evil Prefecture. They all wanted to capture him and bring him back for the reward. But what made Long Yu curious was that none of them were from the Ghost Evil Prefecture. Instead, they were all martial cultivators from the Ghost Evil Prefecture who came to the Nightmare Mountain Range to look for treasures. Since the Ghost Evil Prefecture wants to capture me so badly, why don't they do it themselves? As long as you send out an expert of the divine secret realm, I can only wait to be captured. Long Yu suddenly realized that in the eyes of the Ghost Evil County's people, a mere human tribulation realm kid like him was nothing. Since Long Yu was nothing, then what were the people from the Ghost Evil County planning? That's right, General Hua. Long Yu's expression turned serious as he quickly thought of the crux of the problem. The Ghost Evil Prefecture's martial cultivator army sent out a message to capture him, but it was useless. Even if they caught him, he would only be able to kill a small fry from the Azure Prefecture. Zhong Xingcai was filled with jealousy. The Ghost Evil Prefecture most likely wanted to use Long Yu as a hostage to threaten or lure Hui Yuanbai out. If they want to deal with General Hua, then it doesn't matter if they capture me or not. I'm afraid that the moment I appeared here, the Ghost Evil Prefecture had already sent someone to inform General Hua to capture me. A cold glint flashed across Long Yu's eyes. He finally understood the other party's intentions. If that was the case, then there was no point in wasting time here. He must not let Hui Yuanbai come here. Otherwise, what awaited Hui Yuanbai would definitely be a death trap. With that thought, Long Yu immediately used his Xian Qi to activate the rune given by Ren Pingfan to inform Ren Pingfan to pick him up. At the same time, Long Yu used the hidden divine rune and quietly headed towards the Azura Prefecture, preparing to leave the Ghost Evil Prefecture's territory. Unfortunately, it was too late for him to do all this. He didn't know that Hui Yuanbai had already set off for him without hesitation. Long Yu stayed in this place for 2 days and did not venture too deep. Hence, he was not too far away from little fatty Ren Pingfan. Long Yu flew back, and along the way, he encountered many cultivators from the Ghost Evil County, but he ignored them and went around them. Since he knew the other party's intentions, Long Yu naturally wouldn't be at their side. Chivalrous old man sends news to the Gatha halfway there. Long Yu saw little fatty Ren Pingfan swaggering up ahead. When he saw Long Yu, the little fatty's eyes lit up. "Huh, little brother Long Yu, why did you notify me after only 2 days? Did you succeed? Quick, tell me, how's the harvest?" Seeing Long Yu fly out alone, Ren Pingfan naturally guessed that he had obtained something. Unfortunately, things were not as Ren Pingfan had imagined. Long Yu met up with him and quickly told Ren Pingfan about his speculation. Their target is General Hua? Ren Pingfan was shocked, but on second thought, he realized that it was highly possible. Ever since Hua Yuanbai took charge of the Nightmare Legion a few decades ago, the Ghost Evil Prefecture had never gained any advantage from the Shura Prefecture in the Nightmare Mountain Range. Their territory had even been gradually reduced. If the Ghost Evil County's target was Hua Yuanbai, it was highly possible. There's no time to lose. Let's hurry back and inform General Hua, Ren Pingfan said anxiously. Long Yu took out the Azura spiritual boat and prepared to let little fatty activate it, so they could return quickly. However, at that moment, a sudden change took place. A terrifying aura suddenly came from above them, followed by a burst of wild laughter. "Ha ha! Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Why don't you stay and keep Hui Yuanbai company?" Following the wild laughter, Long Yu and Ren Pingfan's expressions changed drastically. The two of them raised their heads and looked at the sky, only to see a vast expanse of dark clouds drifting over, shrouding the entire Nightmare Mountain Range, causing the entire mountain range to be covered in dark clouds. A skinny man in a black gold royal robe slowly appeared from the dark clouds. In his hand was a sickle made of black gold, emitting a strange aura. The skinny man's eyes were filled with a sinister smile. With a glance at Long Yu and Ren Pingfan, an unstoppable aura swept towards them, making them feel like they were facing a monstrous wave. They could not even fly steadily. Black gold sickle. It's the Ghost Evil County King. Long Yu, we're really done for this time. Ren Pingfan immediately recognized the person's identity. His face was filled with disbelief and despair. Black gold sickle, a great desolate level combat weapon, was practically the Ghost Evil County King's signature weapon. Now that the Ghost Evil County King had personally appeared to block their way, Rinping Fan could not understand how they could survive. The ghost evil county king was most likely here to get rid of Hui Yuanbai. However, the Azura County king would definitely not be here now. At least, not so soon. To get rid of Long Yu and Rinping Fan, the ghost evil county king of the Emperor's Path secret territory would only need an instant. Emperor's Path secret territory. Long Yu was extremely calm. He used all his strength to resist the ghost evil county king's aura, only to realize that it was impossible for him to do so. The ghost evil county king could turn him into ashes with a wave of his hand. Even the Dragon Bone ancient tower could not withstand the attacks of the Emperor's Path secret territory's beasts. Previously, when the Emperor's Path secret territory's beasts appeared, the first floor of the Dragon Bone ancient tower was partially destroyed. Now that the ghost evil county king of the Emperor's Path secret territory had appeared, even if he hid in the Dragon Bone ancient tower, he would not be 100% safe. However, this was not a situation where death was certain. Brother Fatty, follow me into the ancient tower. If we can hold on until the Azura County king arrives, we might still be saved. Now that things had come to this was the only way for Long Yu. He was unable to unleash the dragon of the underworld's true spirit. Even if he unleashed the dragon of the underworld's true spirit, would he have enough time to escape from an expert from the Emperor's Path secret territory? It was impossible. The only way was to rely on the Dragon Bone ancient tower to hold on for some time. As soon as Long Yu finished his words, the skinny Duke of Ghost Evil revealed an eerie smile. The ancient pagoda you mentioned, what level of combat weapon is it? I would like to see if it can withstand my black golden scythe. With that, the ghost evil county king swung the black golden scythe in his hand. A sharp pitch-black blade flew toward Long Yu like the death god's talisman. Let's go. At this moment, Long Yu unleashed the Dragon Bone ancient tower. In an instant, the Dragon Bone ancient tower expanded into a gigantic ancient tower. At the same time, Long Yu dragged the little fatty Rinping Fan into it. This is the ancient tower from back then. When Rinping Fan saw the ancient pagoda grow larger, he recalled the ancient pagoda he had seen in the Azura Holy Tree Valley. He immediately understood what Long Yu was thinking. This Dragon Bone ancient tower could even withstand the attack from the Azura Sacred Tree. It could be said that the attacks from the Arcane Secret Territory had no effect on this ancient tower. Even if the ghost evil county king was an expert from the Emperor's Path secret territory, it would still take him some effort to destroy this ancient tower. In the next moment, Rinping Fan and Long Yu appeared on the 6th floor of the Dragon Bone ancient tower. After Shu Chan left Heavenly Mandate Island with Long Yu, the exotic beasts in the Dragon Bone ancient tower had long been killed by the shockwaves of the astral winds. At this moment, the 6th floor of the Dragon Bone ancient tower was filled with the corpses of Heaven Realm exotic beasts. Long Yu did not have the time to clean them up, mainly because he did not know where to start. Long Yu did not want Rinping Fan to know that they were on the 7th floor of the Dragon Bone ancient tower. Hence, he brought him to the 6th floor. The two had just found their footing when they felt the entire Dragon Bone ancient tower shake violently. Long Yu resonated with the Dragon Bone ancient tower and felt a jolt in his heart. The ghost evil county king's pitch-black Grim Reaper's blade actually left a mark on the Dragon Bone ancient tower. Although it did not destroy the Dragon Bone ancient tower, it was at least the only damage the Dragon Bone ancient tower had suffered apart from the exotic beast from the Emperor's Path secret territory. But it's still all right. Based on the current situation, it shouldn't be a problem to hold off the ghost evil county king for some time. As for how long, I'm not confident. Long Yu's expression was extremely ugly. Logically speaking, he should not have encountered too much danger when he came to the ghost evil county in search of an opportunity to earn some merit. Even if there were God Realm martial cultivators obstructing him, he was confident that he could successfully escape. But who would have thought that the ghost evil county king would appear? The ghost evil county king was the ruler of a county in the Tianqin dynasty. Just like the Azura County king, ordinary people would not even have a chance to see him. For example, Long Yu had not seen the Azura County king, even after coming to the Azura County for so long. Who would have thought that the ghost evil county king would personally deal with Long Yu? No, dealing with Long Yu might just be the appetizer for the ghost evil county king. The real main dish was the general of the Nightmare Legion, Yuan Bai. Not bad. So it's also a great desolate grade combat soldier. The ghost evil county king landed on the top of the ancient dragon bone tower and grinned. He held the black gold scythe in his hand, and his black robe fluttered in the chilly wind. Not long after, a large group of martial cultivators from the ghost evil county appeared in the dense forest. Each of them had a ghostly aura, and there were many god realm experts among them. They gathered around the ghost evil county king and surrounded the ancient dragonbone tower. Blast it! At the ghost evil county king's command, at least a few thousand martial cultivators in the surroundings immediately blasted their strongest attacks at the ancient dragonbone tower. Various laws of heaven and earth and the power of divine runes engulfed the ancient dragonbone tower in an instant. The most eye-catching were the innate mystiques. Every time the innate mystiques landed on the ancient dragonbone tower, the tower would tremble as if it was about to shatter. The ghost evil county king was surprised to see that the ancient dragonbone tower was unscathed under the attacks of so many people. This great desolate grade combat soldier, the ghost evil county king, wanted. The ghost evil county king raised his hand after saying this, signaling for the crowd to stop. Since he wanted the ancient dragonbone tower combat soldier, he would not be willing to destroy it. Chapter 485. Long Yu's heart tightened at the sight of Hui Yuan Bai flying over. He didn't think that Hui Yuan Bai would really come alone, and so quickly at that. It was evident that Long Yu was still very important to Hui Yuan Bai. But now that the Duke of Ghost Evil had come personally, he was most likely after Hui Yuan Bai's life. Hui Yuan Bai, coming alone, was no different from walking into a trap. Hui Yuan Bai was very strong, with 7 divine realm strength that made him invincible in the entire Ghost Evil County. Even if he faced the Ghost Evil County's army, he wouldn't be in any danger. But that was only against the ordinary cultivators of the Ghost Evil County. But now, the Duke of Ghost Evil County had come personally with the Imperial Road's secret realm. No matter how many skills Hui Yuan Bai had, he wouldn't be able to escape. GGG. Hui Yuan Bai, you really came. Not bad, not bad. Seeing Hui Yuan Bai's figure, the Duke of Ghost Evil's smile widened. The trouble that had troubled him for a long time was about to be resolved. He was naturally overjoyed. Logically speaking, with his strength, it would be easy to kill Hui Yuan Bai. However, the Azura Duke placed great importance on Hui Yuan Bai. If the Duke of Ghost Evil killed Hui Yuan Bai, the Azura Duke would definitely come looking for him. Even for the Duke of Ghost Evil County, it would be troublesome. But now, the Duke of Ghost Evil County had set a trap for Hui Yuan Bai to walk right into it. With some explanation, even if the Azura Duke wanted to find trouble with him, he wouldn't have any reason to. Duke of Ghost Evil County. Hui Yuan Bai wore a white robe and exuded an imposing aura. Flying from afar, he saw the Dragonbone Tower beneath the Duke of Ghost Evil's feet, and his expression changed. At this moment, Hui Yuan Bai still didn't know that Long Yu had the Dragonbone Tower, so he subconsciously thought that the Dragonbone Tower was the Duke of Ghost Evil's new great desolate level combat weapon. Hui Yuan Bai, I respect you as a man. How about following me from now on? The Ghost Evil Duke coldly smiled. He shouted out, as a condition, I will do everything in my power to allow you to step into the Royal Road Mystic Realm. I won't be like the Azura King, completely ignoring you. Dream on. Hui Yuan Bai refused without a second thought. He looked at Duke Gui Xie coldly. Where's the mountain ghost? Hearing Hui Yuan Bai's direct rejection, the Duke of Ghost Evil Monarch did not mind at all and said casually, it's under my feet. I didn't expect that kid to have a great desolation battle weapon. What a surprise, but from today onwards, this battle weapon belongs to me. Hearing this, Hui Yuan Bai heaved a sigh of relief. Only now did he remember that Long Yu had such an ancient pagoda warrior that could protect him in the Azura Holy Tree Valley. With such an ancient pagoda as a combat weapon, Long Yu would not be killed so easily. Even the Gue Sied Duke in the King Road secret territory would not be able to easily destroy this ancient pagoda. If that was the case, Hui Yuanbai was relieved. Before I left, I sent the deputy general to inform the regional king. We only need to delay for a period of time. Once the regional king arrives, we will be able to avert the danger. Hui Yuanbai thought to himself. He did not back down. In fact, even if he wanted to back down now, it was impossible. Dai Gue Sied Duke. Thinking of this, Hui Yuanbai shouted and pretended to rush towards the Gue Sied Duke. In the blink of an eye, he appeared near the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. The Gue Sied Duke stood at the top of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda, exuding a powerful and chilling aura. Although he was only as small that in the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda, his aura was not to be underestimated. Want to kill me? The Gue Sied Duke heard Hui Yuanbai's shout and grinned. Hui Yuanbai, aren't you a little too naive? Or is it that you want to kill me on the surface, but in reality, you want to hide in this ancient pagoda? The Gue Sied Duke had lived for more than 100 years. He had long seen through Hui Yuanbai's intentions. However, at this moment, the Gue Sied Duke suddenly felt a strange power from the divine characters beneath his feet. It suddenly began to absorb his energy, causing his expression to change. The power of this divine character is even purer than the power of the divine character inscriptions. The Gue Sied Duke was not angry. Instead, he was delighted. What he felt was the power of the siphon divine character. However, the siphon divine character Long Yu conjured was too weak and could not affect the Gue Sied Duke too much. However, taking advantage of the Gue Sied Duke's momentary daze, Long Yu suddenly conjured the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda and slammed it towards the incoming Hui Yuanbai. 9 Nether Dragon Scale, collect! Long Yu mustered all his strength and gritted his teeth, conjuring the 9 Nether Dragon Scale to suck Hui Yuanbai into the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. Only then would Hui Yuanbai be able to hold on for a while. Otherwise, he would definitely be killed by the Gue Sied Duke. At the same time, Hui Yuanbai also sensed Long Yu's intentions. He immediately conjured 6 shadows, 7 identical Hui Yuanbai, and directly slammed into the spatial power emitted by the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. The Gue Sied Duke's attention was momentarily distracted by the siphon divine character. By the time he reacted and wanted to stop it, he had no idea which one was the real Hui Yuanbai. Or rather, each of the 7 shadows could be the real Hui Yuanbai. Unless the Gue Sied Duke blocked all 7 shadows, there was no way he could stop Hui Yuanbai from entering the pagoda. Swoosh! The Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda stopped moving and the spatial power disappeared. Hui Yuanbai's figure had already disappeared from everyone's sight. Damn it! The Gue Sied Duke's expression changed drastically. He had not expected that a moment of carelessness would allow Hui Yuanbai to enter the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. According to his plan, Hui Yuanbai had to die. At the very least, he had to kill him before the Azura Duke arrived. Otherwise, there would be no more chances. But now, to kill Hui Yuanbai, he had to first destroy the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. This made the Gue Sied Duke's heart ache. Since they're hiding in the pagoda, I should be able to kill them if I enter the pagoda. However, a great Desolate Grade warrior is definitely not that simple. The Gue Sied Duke's expression darkened. With the great Desolate Grade black gold scythe in his hand, he naturally knew how extraordinary a great Desolate Grade warrior was. It was too risky to barge into the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. It was not worth it. Let's go in and take a look. The Gue Sied Duke pondered for a moment before stepping into the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. The other martial cultivators of the Gue Sied County surrounded the pagoda. Soon, the Gue Sied Duke flew out from the pagoda, his expression darkening even more. He found the stairway to the second floor after wandering around the first floor of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. However, he could not break through the Netherworld Chi barrier at the entrance. In other words, if he wanted to kill Hui Yuan by now, it would be impossible unless he destroyed the entire Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. No matter how he thought about it, the Gue Xie could not bear to part with a great desolate grade warrior. He wanted to get someone to transport the pagoda back to the depths of the Gue Xie County. That way, he could deal with them, and Hui Yuan Bai could temporarily pretend that he was dead. However, on second thought, there was Hui Yuan Bai in the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda with 7 divinity realms. Who would be able to transport the pagoda? Even his subordinate, the 7 divinity realm general who guarded the Nightmare Mountain range, would not be able to handle Hui Yuan Bai. If Hui Yuan Bai managed to escape, it would not be worth it. In the end, the Gue Xie Duke came to a conclusion. He could either personally send the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda away or destroy it on the spot. Thinking of the various arrangements he had to make later, he knew that it would be difficult for him to find the time to leave this place. In that case, there was only one way left to destroy the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. The Gue Xie Duke felt extremely pained at the thought of this. However, for the sake of the overall plan, he had to do this. Death God sighed break. The Gue Xie Duke was someone who knew when to let go. He immediately waved the great desolate grade black gold scythe battle weapon and slashed at the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda one after another. How long would it take for an Emperor Path Secret Realm expert to destroy the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda with all his might? Long he did not know. He only knew that his only chance of survival now was to wait for the Azura Duke to arrive. After rescuing Hui Yuan Bai to the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda, Long Yu knew that Hui Yuan Bai had already sent someone to inform the Azura Duke beforehand. However, he had no idea how long it would take for the Azura Duke to arrive. Feeling the entire Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda shake violently, Long Yu's expression darkened. Long Yu, although you have such a battle weapon, it's now in the hands of the Gue Xie Duke. Hui Yuan Bai stood beside Long Yu and said in a low voice, I'm afraid this pagoda won't be able to hold off the Gue Xie Duke for long. Why don't I head out lest I lose this desolate grade battle weapon? A desolate grade battle weapon was a rare existence even in the Tianqing dynasty. For Emperor Path Secret Realm experts, it was an extremely precious treasure. Hui Yuan Bai could not bear to let Long Yu lose the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda just like that. General Hua, don't be rash. Let's observe the situation first. Long Yu said before connecting his mind with the entire Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. He could clearly sense which parts of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda were being attacked and which parts were damaged. If this continued, the entire Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda would not last more than 2 hours. Long Yu grit his teeth. Given the current situation, he could only gather all the power in the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda to fight against the Gue Xie Duke. With a single thought, the power of the Siphon Rune and 9 Hells Chi on the 7th level of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda enveloped the entire surface of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. The power of the Siphon Rune decreased as it was used. However, in order to preserve the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda, Long Yu could not care less. In order to resist the Gue Xie Duke, he would probably need to use up all the power of the Siphon Rune on the 7th level of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. It was the same for the 9 Hells Chi. After Long Yu did this, a defensive barrier appeared on the surface of the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda. When the Gue Xie Duke attacked, some of the power was first absorbed by the Siphon Rune and then blocked by the 9 Hells Chi barrier. Fortunately, I can hold on for a while longer. Chapter 486. As a combat weapon, the Dragon Bone Tower was naturally compatible with its wielder. If Long Yu could improve his compatibility with the Dragon Bone Tower, he would be able to unleash greater power from the Dragon Bone Tower. Upon realizing this, Long Yu was overjoyed. He tried even harder to sense the pulsation of the Dragon Bone Tower's power. At this moment, The netherworld chi barrier on the surface of the Dragon Bone Tower was constantly being attacked by the Duke of Guasia. It was becoming thinner and thinner. It would not be long before it gave way. The netherworld chi barrier that Long Yu had condensed was different from the netherworld chi barrier in the Dragon Bone Tower. It was much weaker. On one hand, his netherworld chi barrier had covered the entire Dragon Bone Tower, so its strength was naturally reduced. On the other hand, the netherworld chi barrier at the staircase was equipped with weapon refinement formations. As such, it could form a barrier that even the Duke of Guasia could not break through. Inside the Dragon Bone Tower, Hu Yuanbai and Rin Pingfan could only watch as Long Yu struggled to control the Dragon Bone Tower with his eyes closed. The two of them were completely useless now. The only thing they could do was to pray that Long Yu could hold on for a little longer. However, a human tribulation realm martial cultivator trying to stop the Duke of Guasia from the Emperor's Path secret realm was a unique feat in the entire divine battle world. There was probably no other human tribulation realm martial cultivator who could do this. Even though other tribulation realm martial cultivators had desolate level combat weapons, they were divided into high and low grades and had different characteristics. If a martial cultivator had a desolate level combat weapon, like the Black Gold Scythe, they would not be able to stop an Emperor's Path secret realm expert if they could not hide inside it. They might even be blasted to smithereens. Long Yu's Dragon Bone Tower could only be considered an anomaly. It's done. Suddenly, Long Yu's expression changed slightly with a hint of excitement. At this moment, he finally sensed the various weapon refinement formations in the Dragon Bone Tower with his mind. He could use these weapon refinement formations to unleash the various effects of the tower's power. Comprehending and controlling the weapon refinement formation in the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower also signified that Long Yu's affinity with the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower had reached the level of psychic connection. The compatibility between a martial cultivator and a combat weapon starts from resonance, progressing to spirit link, heavenly enlightenment, divine fusion, and finally unparalleled compatibility. It could be said that the two cultivators' hearts and minds were connected, and they could control the combat weapon as if it was their own arm. The combat weapon would then be able to unleash its full power. If it was compatible with Tian Qi, it would allow the war soldier to develop self-awareness. As a desolate level warrior, the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower should have its own consciousness. It was a pity that it was currently in a deep slumber. If Long Yu could be compatible with it, he might be able to communicate with it. However, it was currently impossible. Defensive spell formation, 9 Underworld Sky Screen. Long Yu soon learned that the barrier of Hades Qi at the staircase of the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower was formed by a formation and was known as the Hades Heavenly Screen. Only a small amount of 9 Underworlds Qi was needed to condense the 9 Underworlds Heavenly Screen. This defensive barrier could even withstand the attack of an Emperor Path Mystic Realm expert without suffering any damage. It was a pity that Long Yu had to expend too much energy to condense the 9 Underworlds Heavenly Screen. With Long Yu's current martial arts realm, he could only condense the 9 Underworlds Heavenly Screen 3 times consecutively before exhausting all his mental energy and falling into a deep slumber. I only have 3 chances. I have to block the Duke of Ghost Evil's strongest martial skill when he uses it. That way, I can prolong the duration of the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower. Long Yu thought to himself. The Duke of Ghost Evil attacked the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower with all his might. It could be said that he was facing off against the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower. At this moment, in the sky not far away, a densely packed scene was reflected in the eyes of the martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil Prefecture. Following this, they realized that it was the Nightmare Legion of the Shura Prefecture. They filled the sky, and there were definitely more than 30,000 of them. They're here. The martial cultivators of the Ghost Evil Prefecture felt their hearts clench. They knew that a great battle was coming. Soldiers, he my command. Activate the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation. The Duke of Ghost Evil's eyes flashed fiercely. With a command, he gathered all his strength and finally used his strongest martial skill, intending to destroy the ancient dragon skeleton tower. At this moment, the sky changed color as a sinister aura emerged from the Duke of Ghost Evil's body. The power of the divine characters continued to condense before him, forming the shape of a chain. At this moment, the power of the divine characters seemed to have increased by more than 10 times. It's the art of God chains. Inside the ancient dragon skeleton tower, Hui Yuanbai, who was beside Long Yu, felt the aura outside, and his expression changed slightly. Art of God chains? What's that? Long Yu frowned slightly. It's a type of utilization of the divine characters. Martial cultivators of the mystery state can not only comprehend the innate mystic skills, but they can also condense the power of the divine characters into chains, increasing their power by several times to dozens of times. Hui Yuanbai explained with a solemn expression, although it takes some time to condense the God chains, it's shockingly powerful. I wonder if this ancient tower can withstand it. Don't worry, General Hua. Long Yu's eyes lit up. Given my spiritual connection with the ancient dragon skeleton tower, I can withstand at least 3 of the Duke of Ghost Evil's strongest attacks. Really? Hui Yuanbai's expression changed slightly, doubtful of Long Yu's words. Of course. Long Yu's lips curled. Since he's using such a powerful art of God chains, he must be thinking of breaking the ancient tower in one go. I won't let him have his way. Right after he said that, the Duke of Ghost Evil had already condensed a sinister God chain with a shocking aura that coiled around the entire ancient dragon skeleton tower, looking like it was about to shatter the entire tower. However, right at this moment, Long Yu activated the weapon refinement formation in the ancient dragon skeleton tower, gathering 9 underworld chi to form a 9 underworld heavenly screen that covered the entire ancient dragon skeleton tower. The eerie chain was about to destroy the entire dragon skeleton tower when it suddenly collided with the 9 serenity's heavenly screen. Immediately, there was a loud boom, and an extremely terrifying sound was produced. What? The Duke of Ghost Evil's expression changed drastically. The entire ancient dragon skeleton tower shook violently, but under the protection of the 9 underworld heavenly screen, the surface of the ancient tower did not suffer any damage. The Duke of Ghost Evil's God chain that he had used all his strength to condense did not cause any damage to the ancient dragon skeleton tower. This cast a shadow over the Duke of Ghost Evil's heart. Right at this moment, over 30,000 martial cultivators from Shura County's Nightmare Legion charged over like a heavenly army. In comparison, the Ghost Evil Prefecture's side only had a few thousand people. Even with the Duke of Ghost Evil, it did not seem like they could withstand such an attack. However, at this moment, the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation that had been set up nearby was activated at the Duke of Ghost Evil's command. In an instant, an eerie gray fog rose from the dense forest below. Within the gray fog, there were thousands of dead souls. Although they did not have physical bodies, they were filled with endless resentment. If one was affected by the resentment of these dead souls, even an expert in the secret realm of divinity might become delirious and fall into endless danger. The Ghost Evil Destruction Formation covered a wide area. Once it was activated, the area within 100 li would be filled with ghostly aura, filled with resentment of the dead souls, and mixed with ghostly aura sharp blades. Its destructive power was terrifying. This was the killing move that the Duke of Ghost Evil had set up for today. No matter how many martial cultivators from Shura County's Nightmare Legion came, they would be killed. The completely unprepared martial cultivators from Shura County's Nightmare Legion, more than 30,000 people, fell headfirst into the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation. In an instant, cries of agony could be heard everywhere. Thousands of martial cultivators from Shura County stood outside of the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation. Every single one of them had a vicious look in their eyes. These martial cultivators from Shura County hated the martial cultivators from the Shura County to the core. Seeing them walk right into the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation they felt extremely satisfied. As for the Duke of Ghost Evil, he only took a glance and did not care anymore. In his opinion, as long as the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation was activated, those who entered it would not have any chance of survival. The resentful souls would entangle a person and use their resentment to corrode the person's mind until they lost their mind and were killed by the ghostly aura-sharp blades of the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation. The scariest thing was that these resentful souls were undying existences. They were the souls of martial cultivators that were preserved and refined by the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation. They had the strongest resentment towards the living. Even experts of the Emperor Path mystical land would find it extremely troublesome if they were trapped in a heaven-destroying ghost demon formation, let alone ordinary martial cultivators. In an instant, cries of agony could be heard everywhere. Those from Shura County's Nightmare Legion that came to rescue Hui Yuan Bai began to die in the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation. "We've fallen into an ambush." In the crowd of the Nightmare Legion, Deputy General Zhou Li shouted when he saw the vanguard breaking into the Great Ghost and Evil Destruction Array. "Everyone, stop advancing. There's actually an ambush here." Combined with the information I received earlier, I'm afraid General Hua has betrayed our Shura County and intentionally lured us here. We have to retreat quickly. Deputy General Zhou Li and the tens of thousands of people behind him didn't break into the Ghost and Evil Heaven Extinguishing Grand Formation. At this moment, watching their comrades who had broken into the Ghost and Evil Heaven Extinguishing Grand Formation being slaughtered by vengeful spirits and sharp ghost blades, they were all filled with righteous indignation. Isn't this the Ghost Evil County scheme? How could General Hua betray us? Someone couldn't help but ask after hearing Deputy General Zhou Li's words. I heard that the Duke of Ghost Evil promised General Hua to enter the Emperor Path's secret realm. Do you think General Hua could have betrayed us? Deputy General Zhou Li said bitterly. I also hope that our general will always be our general, but the situation before us. 20,000 of our brothers died here. Do you think that if General Hua did not betray us, why didn't he appear? These words caused the hearts of all the soldiers to tremble. They had just arrived when the Ghost Evil Destruction Formation was activated. No one saw the Duke of Ghost Evil in front of them. Indeed, if Hui Yuan Bai did not betray them, why didn't he appear now? Those who died were Hui Yuan Bai's subordinates. That's right. If General Hua was still here, he wouldn't watch us die even if he had to risk his life. Could it be that General Hua has met with misfortune? If that's the case, then General Hua is a 7 Paths Divinity Realm expert. We've only been here for less than 2 hours. How could something happen to him in such a short time? Immediately, the Nightmare Legion was filled with guesses. Chapter 487. Hua Yuanbai's betrayal had caused the Nightmare Legion to fall into the Great Ghost Fiend Destruction Formation, losing more than 20,000 men. This news spread among the survivors. The most excited were naturally Deputy General Zhou Li's trusted aides. Not long after, the news spread to the rest of the Nightmare Legion. Let's retreat first and preserve our strength. Deputy General Zhou Li shouted as he led his trusted aides to retreat. Immediately, the remaining 10,000 martial cultivators left the Great Ghost Fiend Destruction Formation. Although most of the martial cultivators did not believe that Hui Yuan Bai would betray Shura County, they could only retreat now. In front of them was the Great Ghost Fiend Destruction Formation. Countless vengeful spirits danced in the air. Once they fell into the formation, they would not be able to escape. This tragic scene naturally fell into the eyes of Long Yu. General Hua, the Nightmare Legion has suffered heavy losses. 30,000 men, led by Deputy General Zhou Li, fell into the Great Ghost Fiend Destruction Formation's ambush. We lost more than half of our men. Long Yu reported the situation to Hui Yuan Bai. The murderous intent in Hui Yuan Bai's eyes lingered for a long time. Zhou Li, I've long felt that there's something wrong with him. Now that he's colluding with the Duke of Guixia and causing the deaths of our comrades, I will not let him off. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Zoli used helping you as an excuse. If you die, it's all your fault. Even if the Duke of Shura questions you, Zoli will be fine. Long Yu said worriedly. You underestimate our Duke too much. Hui Yuanbai paused for a moment before continuing. I believe in the Duke's judgment. He will not let the wicked get away with it. Also, we may not die. Hui Yuanbai had already felt that the power of the divine chains that the Duke of Ghost Evil had unleashed was blocked by Long Yu. It was unbelievable. This gave him a glimmer of hope. If they could hold on until the Duke of Shura arrived, there might still be a chance. Long Yu nodded. He carefully observed the movements outside, especially the Duke of Ghost Evil's actions. The Gue Xie Duke's attack had no effect on the ancient Dragonbone Tower, causing his expression to darken. He continued to brandish the black gold scythe, attacking the ancient Dragonbone Tower. He didn't believe that he couldn't handle a great desolate-level warrior with his Emperor Path Arcane Realm cultivation base. Seeing the Ghost Evil Annihilation Great Formation activate and kill the 20,000 Devil Legion of the Azura County, the Ghost Evil County King nodded in satisfaction. With such a result, the Ghost Evil County had earned big this time. Even if Hui Yuanbai and the others managed to escape, Duke Ghost Evil wouldn't think much of it. To him, this mission was just to deal a blow to Duke Azura. Whether it was Hui Yuanbai's death or the Nightmare Legion's 20,000 men dying in the great formation of evil and ghostly evil, Duke Gue Xie had made a profit. He glanced at Zhou Li, the Deputy General of the Nightmare Legion, who was retreating not far away. Zhou Li was commanding his men to retreat from the crowd, and a sneer appeared on his face. This Zhou Li has a good plan. He wants to borrow my strength to get rid of Hui Yuanbai and take the throne. Duke Ghost Evil's eyes flashed with coldness and disdain. If you really succeed, the Nightmare Legion will no longer be a threat to me. The entire Nightmare Mountain Range will become my Ghost Evil County's territory. Unfortunately, Azura King is not a brainless guy. How could I let someone like him take the throne and become the general of the Nightmare Legion? On the surface, Duke Ghost Evil was working with Zhou Li to support him, but in reality, he was just using Zhou Li as a pawn. Duke Ghost Evil was extremely disdainful towards Zhou Li, but since Zhou Li could bring him benefits, he reluctantly agreed to this plan. This plan was not bad for Duke Ghost Evil at all, so he had no reason to reject it. After all, Azura County's men would die, while his Ghost Evil County would not suffer any losses. At this point, the Ghost Evil County had already earned big. If that's the case, why don't I get this ancient pagoda? Duke Ghost Evil thought and temporarily stopped attacking the Dragonbone Ancient Pagoda. Instead, he transmitted his voice into the Dragonbone Ancient Pagoda. Hui Yuanbai, Shange, if you leave this ancient pagoda behind, I can let you go. What do you think? The plan he and Deputy General Zhou Li of Azura County's Nightmare Legion was to kill Hui Yuanbai and set up the Ghost and Evil Destruction Formation to wipe out the Nightmare Legion's 20,000 men, then frame Hui Yuanbai for the crime. But now, Duke Ghost Evil had changed his mind. Since he had already profited, it did not matter to him whether or not he kept his end of the deal. More importantly, if Hui Yuanbai died, Azura King would definitely hate him to the core and might even start a war. How could it be so easy to frame Hui Yuanbai for betrayal? Duke Ghost Evil thought to himself. Only those from the Nightmare Legion would believe him. As for Azura King, there was no way he could fool him. Since that was the case, he might as well let Hui Yuanbai go. Getting another Dragonbone Ancient Pagoda was not a bad thing. A desolate-level warrior was a rare treasure. Moreover, Duke Ghost Evil had seen that his Godly Chains technique had not been able to destroy it, so he desired it even more. If he could get his hands on this ancient pagoda, Duke Ghost Evil's ranking among the 72 dukes of Tianqin Dynasty would definitely rise to a higher level. The voice entered the Dragonbone Ancient Pagoda, shocking Long Yu, Hui Yuanbai, and Ren Pingfan. General Hua, can we trust Duke Ghost Evil's words? Long Yu asked with a frown. If he was trustworthy, he could agree to the other party's conditions at a critical moment. Exchanging the Dragonbone Ancient Pagoda for their lives was worth it. To Long Yu, the dragon-bone ancient pagoda was just an external object. It cannot be compared to his own life. The Gui Xie Duke is cunning and full of tricks. His words are hard to tell whether they are true or false. If we go out, we might be killed by him immediately. Hui Yuanbai shook his head. I understand. Long Yu nodded, indicating that he understood. In that case, surrendering or handing over the dragon-bone ancient pagoda was impossible. The only way was to hold on and wait for the Azura Duke's arrival. The great formation of evil and heavenly destruction of evil lasted for a few hours before it finally stopped. Deputy General Zhou Li had already left with the remaining martial cultivators of the Nightmare Corps. There was no trace of them in the sky. It seemed that they had completely retreated. In these few hours, the Dragon-Bone Ancient Pagoda was constantly attacked by Duke Ghost Evil and suffered many damages. During this time, Duke Ghost Evil had used the Godly Chains technique twice, attacking the Dragon-Bone Ancient Pagoda with 10 times the power of the Godly Runes. But they were all blocked by Long Yu's 9 Underworld Heavenly Screen. If not for that, the Dragon-Bone Ancient Pagoda would have long been destroyed. Are you really not going to surrender? I don't believe that a mere battle weapon like this can withstand 4 consecutive attacks from me, using the Divine Chain technique. Duke Ghost Evil sneered. He knew that Long Yu and Hui Yuanbai had chosen to resist to the end, so all he could do was destroy the Dragon-Bone Ancient Pagoda. Just as he was about to condense the power of the Godly Chains technique for the 4th time and use that terrifying power to destroy the Dragon-Bone Ancient Pagoda, there was a sudden flash of lightning in the sky, followed by a patch of dark clouds. It was as if the god of death was about to descend, causing the entire sky to turn pitch black. Originally, when Duke Ghost Evil had arrived, the sky was already filled with dark clouds, blocking the sunlight. However, there was not a single ray of light in the entire sky now. Azura Duke, you're finally here. Duke Ghost Evil could not help but smirk when he saw this. Hui Yuanbai is now mine. It's useless even if you come. As he said this, the power of the Divine Chain Law, which he had condensed for the 4th time, swept straight up into the pitch-black sky, forming a gray fog tornado that swept away the black clouds in the sky. At that moment, a stalwart figure in a black robe descended from the pitch-black clouds. His body was surrounded by an endless azure storm, as if he was the god of death that had just walked out of hell. This was the Duke of Azura County. Duke Ghost Evil, you've gone too far. The Azura Duke's voice rang out. Facing the Ghost Evil Duke's Divine Chain Tempest, the Azura storm around the Azura Duke expanded as well, condensing into divine chains that shot towards the Ghost Evil Duke. The power of both parties collided, causing the color of the sky to change. It was as if a terrifying storm from hell was rampaging in all directions. Nearby, 2 towering mountains that reached the clouds were affected by the power storm from the 2 parties. They broke in half and collapsed. One should know that the rocks of the Devil Mountain Range were extremely hard. Even a god's secret realm cultivator would find it difficult to mine ores from there. Yet now, the shockwave from the clash between 2 emperors' secret realm cultivators was enough to shatter 2 mountains. One could imagine how terrifying the power of an emperor's secret realm cultivator was. Azura Duke, I've never gone too far. Duke Ghost Evil snickered. Your subordinate brought his men to my Ghost Evil County. I merely retaliated a little. What's wrong with that? Cut the crap. Azura God Chains. The Azura Duke descended from the sky with an imposing figure. He raised his hand, and the power of some kind of godly rune once again condensed into godly chains. Like a bolt of lightning, the godly chains wrapped around the ancient dragon skeleton tower. You're thinking too much. This combat weapon belongs to me. Seeing this, the Duke Ghost Evil snorted. The power of the godly chains formed a storm and blasted out in an attempt to shatter the Azura God Chains. However, at this moment, a silhouette in a silver dress appeared in the sky. She raised her hand, and a silver mirror appeared in the air, blocking the Gui Xie Duke's path. The power of the godly chains collided with the silver mirror. In the next moment, the silver mirror reflected the power of the godly chains. Silver mirror? Duke Ghost Evil was startled for a moment before he burst out laughing. Azura Duke, I didn't expect you to send your woman to fight just to deal with me. I'm impressed. Despite his words, the Gue Siam monarch's expression was extremely solemn. The figure in the silver dress held the desolate grade silver mirror combat weapon in her hand. It could reflect the power of most godly runes and was extremely difficult to deal with. She was one of the Azura Duke's women. Chapter 488. When the black-robed figure of the Azura Prefecture King appeared, Long Yu told Hui Yuanbai and Rin Pingfan everything that had happened outside. The Prefecture King is here. Hui Yuanbai's face was filled with excitement. If that's the case, we won't have to worry about our lives anymore. There's also a woman in a silver dress with a silver mirror combat weapon. Who is she? Long Yu asked curiously. One of the Prefecture King's concubines. Well, the Yuanbai explained. Her name is Yin Jing, and the silver mirror combat weapon is a great desolate level combat weapon passed down from her ancestors. It can reflect the power of most divine runes and create a mirror clone. Mirror clone? Long Yu frowned. The name sounded familiar. Do you know that our Azura Prefecture has a general election every 20 years? Hui Yuanbai asked with a smile. That's right. Long Yu nodded his head. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind, and he asked, I heard that the second test of this election is to deal with a mirror image of the same level as you. Only by defeating it will you be considered to have passed. This mirror image clone was created by the Silver Mirror, right? That's right. Hui Yuanbai nodded with a smile. That's right. With Yin Jing and the Azura Prefecture King together, the Ghost Evil Prefecture King won't be able to deal with us. Does that mean that Yin Jing is Princess Shu Chan's mother? Long Yu asked uncertainly. He remembered that when Princess Shu Chan had introduced the mirror image avatar, she had said that the mirror image avatar had been created by one of her father's subordinates. Now, it seemed that the person who had created the mirror image avatar was not a subordinate of the Azura Duke, but one of his concubines. That's not it. Hui Yuanbai shook his head. Princess is the Prefecture King's only descendant. Her mother passed away more than 10 years ago. This Yin Jing was originally the Prefecture King's subordinate, and later became one of his concubines. Long Yu thought to himself, no wonder Shu Chan said that Silver Mirror is her father's subordinate. It seems that Shu Chan doesn't have a good impression of Silver Mirror. When Long Yu figured out the identity of the person outside, he carefully observed the battle of the three King Path Secret Realm experts outside. Unfortunately, when the Goetia Prefecture King saw the Yin Mirror and the Azura Prefecture King together, he abandoned the thousands of cultivators around him and fled towards the depths of the Goetia Prefecture. He didn't even care about the Dragonbone Pagoda. Duke Goetia was still laughing on the surface, but in reality, his heart was filled with fear. After all, it was 1 against 2, and his chances of winning were slim. Under such circumstances, the Duke of Ghost Evil would naturally prioritize his own life. He could only temporarily forget about the ancient Dragonbone Tower. Chase. The Azura Prefecture King and Yin Mirror, 2 powerful martial cultivators, chased after the Ghost Evil Prefecture King. Soon, they disappeared from Long Yu's sight. We can't see, but we're free now. Long Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Although he was unable to witness the battle between the Emperor Road's secret grounds experts, after the Ghost Evil Monarch left, no one could stop Long Yu from leaving. He activated the ancient Dragon Skeleton Tower and circled around the area where the great formation of evil and ghost and destruction was located, before flying in the direction of Ashura Prefecture. The thousands of cultivators from the Ghost Evil County all had gloomy auras. When they saw this, they all fled towards the dense forest below. When the Azura County King and Yin Jing appeared, they knew that the situation was not good. Now that the Goetia Prefecture King had fled, how could they dare to stay? Not long after, the thousands of cultivators from the Ghost Evil County disappeared from the sky. All of them hid in the forest and mountains below. They must be escaping towards the Ghost Evil County's territory. Long Yu relayed the news to Hui Yuanbai. Hui Yuanbai said, "If that's the case, let's leave this ancient pagoda first. Young dragon, store the ancient pagoda. We'll go back and wait for the king and the others to return." Long Yu nodded and stored the Dragon Bone Pagoda. Without the threat of the King Path Secret Realm experts, there was no need for them to hide in the Dragon Bone Pagoda. After all, Long Yu's speed with the Dragon Bone Pagoda was not fast. Moreover, with Hui Yuanbai around, no one could threaten them apart from the King Path Secret Realm experts. After Long Yu came out, he took out the Azure Spirit Boat and handed it to Hui Yuanbai to control. As a heaven-rank high-rank combat weapon, Long Yu could naturally control the Azure Spirit Boat as well, but the speed was not that great. After handing the Azure Spirit Boat to Hui Yuanbai, its speed was more than twice as fast as when Ren Pingfan was controlling it. As expected of a 7 Daos Divine Realm expert, the Xianqi in his body was extremely dense. The Azure Spirit Boat carried the three of them to a camp at the border of the Azure Prefecture and stopped. This camp was where Ren Pingfan had been waiting for news from Long Yu. After handing the Azure Spirit Boat to Long Yu, the three of them descended towards the camp. "Let's wait here for the regional king and Silver Mirror to return," Hui Yuanbai said, and was the first to land. However, the atmosphere in the army camp was not quite right at this moment. Hui Yuanbai, the general of the entire Nightmare Army, had arrived, but no one dared to welcome him. They all stayed far away from him and looked at him doubtfully. "What's going on?" Hui Yuanbai frowned and asked the nearest martial cultivator. "This, General Hua, aren't you?" The martial cultivator jumped in fright and was about to say something when he was interrupted by a burst of laughter from the side. "Ha ha, Hui Yuanbai. Impressive, impressive. You managed to escape in such a situation." The laughter obviously came from a familiar person, Deputy General Zhou Li of the Nightmare Legion. Following this laughter, the three of them saw Deputy General Zhou Li leading a group of Nightmare Legion troops from the side. They surrounded the three of them with covetous eyes. "General Hua, you betrayed Azure Prefecture and caused the deaths of more than 20,000 Nightmare Legion troops. How dare you come back to the camp?" Deputy General Zhou Li snorted as he spoke. "The regional king has already appeared, but you went to deal with the regional king Gue Xie first. What's your motive for returning to the camp?" "Ridiculous." Hui Yuanbai looked at Deputy General Zhou Li and sneered. He was so angry at Deputy General Zhou Li that he did not know what to say. Betrayed Azure Prefecture and caused the deaths of more than 20,000 Nightmare Legion troops? These things were obviously done by Deputy General Zhou Li. But now, Deputy General Zhou Li was pointing the spearhead at Hui Yuanbai and trying to frame him. "Soldiers, Hui Yuanbai betrayed Azure Prefecture and sided with Gue Xie County. The evidence is conclusive, and more than 20,000 of his comrades were killed by him. Since we found him, we can't let him go so easily. We must capture him and wait for the regional king's return." Deputy General Zhou Li's face was full of righteousness, but his eyes were as sinister as a fox's. "Today, I took the liberty of inviting 2 experts from Liang County to arrest Hui Yuanbai." 2 middle-aged men in fiery red robes walked out from behind Zhou Li, one on the left and one on the right. They looked at Hui Yuanbai with extremely unfriendly expressions. Experts from Liang Prefecture. Hui Yuanbai's expression changed slightly. These 2 middle-aged men in fiery red robes were actually experts from Liang County, a county adjacent to Shura County. Each of them was a 7-path Divine Realm expert. Moreover, Hui Yuanbai had a rough idea of their names. After all, in each prefecture, 7 Divine Realm martial cultivators were considered extremely powerful. Yangguan, Yangkong, you two are actually on the same side as the Zhou family, Hui Yuanbai said in a low voice. Yangguan and Yangkong were the 2 middle-aged men in fiery red robes from the neighboring Liang Prefecture. Heh, our Yang family and the Zhou family are old friends. The older of the 2 middle-aged men said matter-of-factly. Moreover, our Liang Prefecture has a good relationship with your county. Now that you're general of the Nightmare Legion, You've betrayed Azura Prefecture and sided with Gue Xie County. I have to say, we must capture you today. Long Yu stood beside Hu Yuanbai and listened to the two guys distorting the truth while the Nightmare Legion experts seemed to believe them. He couldn't help but feel puzzled. Fatty Rinping Fan also had the same thought. You can't use such a clumsy method to frame others, right? Fatty said casually. Moreover, Senior Shura Prefecture will naturally be managed by the Shura Prefecture King. Why are you here? Who do you think you are? Yang Guan and Yang Kong scolded angrily when they heard Fatty run Ping Fan's words. You're just a junior. How dare you say such things? You're courting death. Yo, you people from Liang Prefecture dare to act so presumptuously in our Shura Prefecture? Do you think Senior Shura Prefecture King will let you off if he finds out? Fatty wasn't afraid at all. Although there was a huge gap between their martial realms, he knew that Long Yu had the ancient Dragonbone Tower. The ancient Dragonbone Tower was something that even the Duke of Ghost Evil could not break through, let alone these two Seven Divinity Realm fellas. Don't waste your breath on them. Otherwise, they'll have a chance to escape. Let's do it. Deputy General Zhou Li snorted coldly and nodded at Yang Kong and Yang Guan. He had initiated this series of plans and framed Hui Yuanbai for the crime of betraying Shura Prefecture and killing more than 20,000 people from the Nightmare Legion. Of course, it wouldn't be that simple. Yang Kong and Yang Guan, who came from the neighboring Liang Prefecture, were both Seven Divine Realm experts. All they had to do now was capture Hui Yuanbai as an excuse and accidentally kill him. Then, even if the Shura Prefecture King pursued the matter, he wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Zhou Li or the Zhou family alone wouldn't dare to do such a thing. Chapter 489. Zhou Li did not know that Long Yu possessed the ancient Dragonbone Tower, so when he led Yang Guan and Yang Kong to intercept Hui Yuanbai, he immediately thought that victory was in his grasp. As long as he accidentally killed Hui Yuanbai now, even Shura County Lord would not be able to do anything to him. However, he did not know that Hui Yuanbai, Long Yu, and Rinping Fan were looking at him as if they were watching a joke. Zhou Li, you keep saying that I'm a traitor and betrayed Shura County. What proof do you have? Hui Yuanbai said indifferently. If you have proof, then wait for the regional king to return and let him decide. I'm afraid it is against the rules for you to bring people from Liang County to deal with me. You are a traitor. What rules do we need to follow in order to capture you? Deputy General Zhou Li said coldly. After we capture you, we will naturally hand you over to the regional king. Although he said that, he was thinking that if they fought later, all he needed to do was accidentally, and he would be able to finish off Hui Yuanbai. Even if Hui Yuanbai surrendered, Zhou Li would never wait for the Shura County Lord to return. Instead, he would make up an excuse, such as saying that Hui Yuanbai dared to launch a sneak attack after they captured him and then kill him. No matter what, Hui Yuanbai was already a dead man in Deputy General Zhou Li's eyes. As for Rinping Fan and Long Yu behind Hui Yuanbai, they were even less of a threat to Rinping Fan. Two mere juniors would not be of any use in this situation. Unfortunately, Zhou Li's estimation of Long Yu was wrong. This time, a traitor has appeared in our Azura County. We've truly let the two of you laugh at us. Now, I hope that the two of you can help us capture this traitor. When the county king arrives, he will definitely thank you. Zhou Li said respectfully to Yang Guan and Yang Kong. All right, let's cut the nonsense. Let's capture this traitor first. Yang Guan and Yang Kong looked at each other and saw the killing intent in each other's eyes. They knew that this time, they were determined to kill Hui Yuanbai. Hui Yuanbai was Azura County's most important general of the Nightmare Legion. He was extremely important to Azura County. If they killed Hui Yuanbai for no reason, the two of them wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. But now, with Zhou Li and the Zhou family support in Shura County, the matter of Hui Yuanbai being a traitor was already settled. Even if they killed Hui Yuanbai, with the support of Liang County, nothing would happen to them. Go! Yang Guan and Yang Kong Two Seven Paths Divinity Realm cultivators dressed in fiery red robes charged at Hui Yuanbai from both sides. General Hua, Brother Fatty, come in. Without any hesitation, Long Yu released the ancient Dragonbone Tower and used the spatial power of the dragon scale of the 9 underworlds to store himself, the Yuanbai, and Rin Ping Fan into the ancient Dragonbone Tower. Then, the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda expanded rapidly and soon became a huge ancient pagoda that sat in the middle of the army camp. Then it slowly floated up. Hiding in this war weapon? Deputy General Zhou Li's expression changed slightly. Then he sneered, "How can a mere human tribulation realm kid unleash the power of this war weapon? Brothers, please use your full strength and blast this ancient pagoda apart. I like to see where that traitor can run to." Yang Kong and Yang Guan saw the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda rise up and emit an extremely ancient aura, causing greed to appear in their eyes. Looks like that kid called Mountain Ghost has a lot of good stuff. After killing him, we'll have to plunder him. The two of them had the same thought at almost the same time. Then, they each condensed the power of some kind of fiery divine text in their hands. Without a doubt, these two were powerful martial cultivators who had obtained the inscriptions of the divine text. The power of the fiery divine text instantly condensed into 2 fiery whips that smashed towards the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. The fiery whips smashed into the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda, but were met with the siphoned divine text that Long Yu had prepared. In an instant, the power of the 2 whips was completely absorbed, extinguishing them. Looks like this ancient pagoda isn't ordinary. Yang Guan and Yang Kong's expressions changed slightly. Then, the power of the fiery divine text around them intensified, and they prepared to use their connate mystiques to deal with the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. Yang Guan, who was slightly older, raised his hand, and flames condensed in his hand, transforming into a fire dragon. Heavenly Fire Dragon. The Heavenly Fire Dragon was one of the connate mystiques that Yang Guan had comprehended. It could transform the power of the fiery divine text into a heavenly fire dragon that was wrapped in flames and charged towards its target. It also possessed a certain level of spirituality and knew how to fight on its own. The other person, Yang Kong, wrapped the power of the fiery divine text around his hand, and with a wave of his hand, formed a fire wolf. Connate Mystique, Brutal Flame Fawn. This fire wolf was one of Yang Kong's connate mystiques. The summoned fire wolf's combat power was not much weaker than his own. Under such circumstances, they felt that the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda was rather difficult to deal with. Therefore, they both used similar summoning spirit mystiques to fight for them and attack the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda, thereby conserving their own strength. After all, they were wary of Hui Yuanbai, who was also a 7 Daos mystique expert. Although they were fighting 2 against 1, they wouldn't have much confidence if they expended too much of their strength. The Heavenly Fire Dragon and the Brutal Flame Fong, 2 fire spirits formed from connate mystiques, lunged at the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. Their destructive power was extremely terrifying, and even the dense forest in the surroundings was set ablaze. The forest in the Nightmare Mountains burned, but the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda remained unmoved under the attacks of the 2 fire spirits. It continued to fly into the sky, and before long, it had already flown hundreds of meters into the sky. Deputy General Zhou Li watched as Yang Guan and Yang Kong attacked. He had originally been overjoyed that the plan he had prepared for a long time was finally about to succeed. However, his expression changed when he saw that the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda remained unscathed in the hands of the 2 brothers. If they couldn't kill Hui Yuanbai here, all their efforts would have been for naught. If he confronted Hui Yuanbai in front of the Duke of Azura, he would definitely be the one to give himself away, not Hui Yuanbai. In other words, if he couldn't kill Hui Yuanbai, he would have to leave Azura Prefecture immediately. Wait a little longer. That human tribulation brat's battle weapon can't be so tough. It can actually withstand the attacks of 7 Daos Mystique experts. Deputy General Zhou Li's eyes were extremely cold. He watched as the heavenly fire dragon and the brutal fire Fong, the two fire spirits, continuously attacked the dragon skeleton tower, even causing the entire tower to turn red from the heat. However, they were unable to break through the dragon skeleton tower's body and destroy it. Even the Duke of Ghost Evil can't deal with this ancient pagoda. How can these two fellows who play with fire do it? Inside the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda, Ren Pingfan chuckled as he listened to Long Yu's description of the situation. Little brother Long, this ancient pagoda of yours is really good stuff. If it wasn't for this ancient pagoda, wouldn't you have lost a few more lives? More or less. Long Yu nodded with a smile. Indeed, the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda had saved him many times. Ever since he went to the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda and participated in the heavenly mandate sacred selection, the ancient pagoda had been of great help to him. Not only had it helped him comprehend the laws of the underworld, but it had also saved his life many times. To Long Yu, the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda was now one of his most important battle weapons. Of course, another equally important battle weapon was the Nether Dragon Blade. Although the Nether Dragon Blade didn't seem to be as useful as the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda at the moment, as long as Long Yu's martial arts realm improved by a few levels, the terrifying power of the Nether Dragon Blade would be completely revealed. Yang Guan and Yang Kong unleashed all sorts of techniques from outside. The violent power of the divine flame runes, coupled with their innate mystique, almost turned the entire army camp below into ashes. In the surrounding mountains, the fire spread rapidly. The members of the Nightmare Army in the camp scattered to take refuge and continuously extinguish the flames in the mountains. Fortunately, there were many martial arts practitioners who had comprehended the laws of heaven and earth of the water element or the divine runes of the ice element. It wasn't difficult for them to extinguish the mountain fire. Of course, it was impossible for them to resist the innate mystique of Yang Guan and Yang Kong head-on. The mountain fire was already wreaking havoc, let alone the power of the flames that the entire ancient dragon skeleton pagoda had to endure. However, no matter how Yang Guan and Yang Kong burned, the entire ancient dragon skeleton pagoda remained undamaged. It just floated in the air, unmoving. This caused Yang Guan and Yang Kong's expressions to gradually turn extremely ugly. Deputy General Zhou Li, who was watching the battle from the side, also had an ugly expression. It's about time. We should leave. If we don't leave now, it'll be too late. Zhou Li's expression was frighteningly gloomy. He realized that he had completely underestimated the human tribulation realm kid. He had originally thought that the kid wouldn't be a threat to his plan, but he didn't expect the kid's ancient pagoda battle weapon to be as hard as a tortoise's shell. 7 Divine Realms experts couldn't even break the ancient pagoda. It was simply hopeless. If they dragged on any longer, the Azura Prefecture King would definitely return soon. By then, the Azura Prefecture King would definitely force him to confront Hui Yuanbai. If that happened, he would definitely die. If that's the case, let's go. Zhou Li, with your cultivation, you'll definitely be treated extremely well when you arrive at Liang County. You won't have to worry about your future. Yang Guan said to Zhou Li before turning around to leave. Although he found it a pity that he couldn't help Zhou Li successfully become the general of the Nightmare Army, it was still a good thing that he could force Zhou Li to join his Liang County. It was just a pity that he could obtain the majestic ancient pagoda battle weapon. Yang Guan and Yang Kong took one last look at the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda before leaving with Deputy General Zhou Li. It was obvious that they wanted to avoid the Azura Prefecture King and return to Liang County. However, how could Long Yu just watch them escape? General Hua, it's your turn to stop them. Long Yu said to Hui Yuanbai, his eyes sparkling. Yang Guan and Yang Kong had expended too much energy trying to break open the ancient dragon skeleton pagoda. Now that they were in a hurry to escape, they definitely wouldn't dare to get entangled with Hui Yuanbai. Chapter 490. When Yang Guan and Yang Kong turned to flee, Hui Yuanbai took the initiative to attack. At the same time, Long Yu activated the Dragonbone Pagoda to assist from the side. This scene astonished the Nightmare Army's martial cultivators in the army camp below. Their deputy general, Zhou Li, had originally brought people to capture Hui Yuanbai, but why did he seem to be afraid now and wanted to flee? Even if he couldn't break through the ancient pagoda, he shouldn't have to flee, right? As long as the Azura Duke arrived, the ancient pagoda wouldn't be able to hold out. The only possibility was that Hui Yuanbai hadn't truly betrayed Azura Prefecture. Everything had been fabricated by Zhou Li. If that was the case, Zhou Li would naturally be afraid of meeting the Azura Duke. At this thought, the spectating martial cultivators were somewhat comforted. General Hui Yuanbai was their spiritual pillar. If even General Hui Yuanbai had betrayed Azura Prefecture and joined the Ghost Evil Prefecture, they probably wouldn't believe that there was anyone in this world who was absolutely loyal. Hui Yuanbai took the initiative to attack with his Khanate magic. An earth-shattering war drum appeared behind him and sounded, causing his aura to rise to a new level. With this war drum, Hui Yuanbai's strength had increased by at least 30%. This was the innate magical power that Hui Yuanbai, as the general of the Nightmare Legion, relied on the most. When a startling war drum was beaten, it could make the Xian Qi in the entire legion boil and increase their combat power by at least 30%. At this moment, Hui Yuanbai wanted to hold back the three of them on his own. Naturally, he couldn't hide his strength anymore. He used all of it in one move. Galaxy Spirit. As the Xian Qi in Hui Yuanbai's body boiled, the power of the divine characters burst out, forming a destructive current that cut off the path of Yang Guan, Yang Kong, and Zhou Li. If the three of them continued forward, they would be hit by the galaxy-piercing aura head-on. They had just attacked the ancient dragon skeleton tower and expended too much of their strength. At this moment, it was not a good choice to take the galaxy-piercing aura head-on. Thus, the three stopped. Zhou Li turned his head viciously. Old Hua, don't think that we're afraid of you. If you continue to pester us, don't blame us for being impolite. If you want to fight, just come at me. A smile appeared on Hui Yuanbai's face. To Zhou Li, that expression was asking for a beating. You want to fight? We have the ancient Dragonbone Tower. If we can't beat them, we can just hide inside. What can you do to us? As for you, don't even think about running away. Zhou Li glared at Hui Yuanbai's shameless appearance, his eyes almost spitting fire. They were now stuck here, but Yang Guan and Yang Kong were fine. The Azura Duke couldn't do anything to them. But if the Azura Duke were to return and figure out the entire matter, then he, Zhou Li, would be dead for sure. In such a situation, Yang Guan and Yang Kong would not help him. They had helped him because they could benefit from it, but now that the plan to kill Hui Yuanbai had failed, their efforts were in vain, and they did not get any benefits. Let's go. Charge out. A mere old man wants to stop us? Wishful thinking. Deputy General Zhou Li was burly, but he only had the strength of 5 divine realm. There was nothing he could do against Hui Yuanbai's obstruction, so he could only rely on Yang Kong and Yang Guan. However, the two looked at the horizon and shook their heads. It's too late. Even without Hui Yuanbai's obstruction, it won't be difficult for the Azura Duke to catch up to us. Not to mention, Hui Yuanbai is at his peak, while we've exhausted a lot of our strength. It'll be too difficult to break through his blockade. Yang Guan and Yang Kong could feel the Azura Duke's presence nearby. It was too late to escape now. Zhou Li's face paled. Too late? How was that possible? Madness flashed in his eyes as he looked at Hui Yuanbai. Old Hua, let me go, and this supreme heaven-grade war flag combat weapon is yours. He took out a red war flag from his space weapon. It looked as if it had been dyed red with blood, emitting a thick stench of blood. The Blood Shadow war flag, supreme heaven-grade. It's the best combat weapon you have. Hui Yuanbai shook his head and smiled. However, let the Duke distribute this combat weapon himself when he returns. I don't lack a supreme heaven-grade combat weapon. His words made Zhou Li's heart drop to the bottom. General Hua, We're only following orders. Please forgive us. However, I hope we can bring this Zoli back to Liang County. We'll repay you handsomely in the future." Yang Guan, a martial practitioner from Liang County, looked at Hui Yuanbai and said calmly, "You wanted to kill me just a moment ago, and now you're negotiating with me? What a joke." Hui Yuanbai shook his head. "I only have one thing to say. When the Azura Duke returns, everything will be dealt with fairly." Looking at Hui Yuanbai's stubbornness, Zhou Li and the other two's faces darkened completely. Looking at the rolling dark clouds not far away and the earth-shattering aura getting closer, the three of them almost fell into despair. "General Hua, if that's the case, we'll take our leave now. Feel free to visit Liang County in the future. Brother, let's go," Yang Guan said as he gave his younger brother Yang Kong a look. Then, the two turned around and prepared to leave without bringing Deputy General Zhou Li with them. The Azura Duke was an extremely tyrannical person. Even if they were from Liang County, would the Azura Duke let them off so easily after doing something detrimental to Shura County? Since they couldn't bring Zhou Li with them, they'd better leave on their own. Deputy General Zhou Li's eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. "You two, you've taken so much money from me, and now you want to leave? Do you think it'll be that easy?" With that, Zhou Li's figure flashed, and he appeared behind the two, blocking their way. "You want to leave? You'll have to get past me. General Hua, Zhou Li have lost, so I won't think too much about it. It's just that these two didn't do anything after taking the deposit. We can't let them get away." Hui Yuanbai couldn't help but chuckle in his heart when he saw Zhou Li's actions. These three had turned against each other in the end. Fine, Hui Yuanbai didn't want any of them to get away. Khanate Mystique, Galactic Spirit. A strong current of air burst out and blocked Yang Guan and Yang Kong's path of retreat. "You want to leave? Wait until the Duke is here." Yang Guan and Yang Kong's faces turned green. Long Yu, who was inside the Dragon Bone Tower, allowed a sigh of relief when he saw this. The Azura Duke was rushing back and would be here soon. Yang Guan, Yang Kong, and Zhou Li wouldn't be able to do anything in such a short time. The whole matter was finally resolved. Long Yu played a very important role in this process. Most importantly, his Dragon Bone Tower had protected Hui Yuanbai several times. Hong Long Long, black clouds gathered in the sky as a black-robed king descended from the sky with a boundless aura. Under the Azura Duke's endless aura, Zhou Li, Yang Guan, and Yang Kong had no chance of escaping. The Duke of Ghost Evil was seriously injured by me and Concubine Mirror. I'm afraid he won't be able to recover in the next 10 years. The Azura Duke descended. Black clouds covered the sky and thunder rumbled. Just one sentence from him was enough to show that Duke Gue Xie had been severely injured, causing Yang Guan and Yang Kong's hearts to shiver. The Duke of Ghost Evil was injured. Ghost Evil County would definitely be weakened. The Nightmare Mountains would probably have to give way. That way, Azura County would be even more powerful. Liang County would probably be affected as well. Lil Hua, you did well this time. You will be rewarded according to your contributions. No need to say more. The Azura Duke's figure descended, and it didn't take long for him to hover not too far away from the crowd. Black clouds billowed around his body, making him look like a demon king that had just emerged from the depths of hell. Within the black clouds, one could faintly see the black robe he wore, as well as a pair of bright and sharp eyes. Zhou Li betrayed Shura County and worked with the Duke of Ghost Evil to frame General Hui Yuanbai. His crimes cannot be redeemed. Death. The Azura Duke's words made the burly Deputy General Zhou Li's face turn ashen. Lord Duke, please don't. Our Zhou family has been loyal for generations. Even if I made a mistake this time, I should have a chance to make it up to you. However, before he could finish speaking, an Azura light blade slashed down from above, instantly splitting his body in half. Then, the power of Azura, divine runes spread out, enveloping his entire body. With a loud bang, he was reduced to ashes in the wind. You too. Why are you still here? The Azura Duke coldly snorted at Yang Guan and Yang Kong. Yang Guan and Yang Kong were originally trembling with fear, afraid that the Azura Duke would kill them in a fit of anger. But now, hearing this, they were overjoyed. The Azura Duke is magnanimous. The two of them cheered and flew away. Their speed was so fast that even Hui Yuanbai couldn't help but gasp in amazement. Sure enough, in order to escape, one could stimulate their potential. All right, where's that brat Long Yu now? After Yang Guan and Yang Kong left, the Azura Duke's voice softened. There was a hint of a smile on his face as he looked at Hui Yuanbai. Duke, he is in the ancient pagoda. Hui Yuanbai smiled and said, if it wasn't for little brother Long's ancient pagoda, this old man would have died a long time ago, huh? Not bad, this Duke saw it all. The Azura Duke nodded in satisfaction. The rolling black clouds finally began to dissipate, revealing his true form in a black robe. At this time, Long Yu naturally didn't need to hide in the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda anymore. He immediately put away the Dragon Bone Ancient Pagoda and flew to Hui Yuanbai's side with Renping Fan. Long Yu looked ahead and saw a young man in a black robe walking over with a smile. From the rolling black clouds that had yet to dissipate, this person was the Azura Duke. Seeing the Azura Duke's face, Long Yu couldn't help but be stunned. This Azura Duke looked so young, only in his 20s. Long Yu, you were brought out by this Duke's daughter. I didn't expect you to make such a great contribution this time. Tell me, what reward do you want? Chapter 491. Of course, Long Yu's interest was not piqued by the Shura Duke's handsomeness. He was wondering how the Shura Duke knew that he had something to do with all this, and that he had made a great contribution. However, the Shura Duke was a warrior of the Emperor Path, and was much stronger than Long Yu. Long Yu would not be able to comprehend all the tricks he had up his sleeves. Therefore, it was not strange that the Shura Duke knew about this. I don't need any reward. It's just that my father went to a dangerous place on the Heavenly Mandate Island, the Heaven Prison Thunderbolt Pool. Could you help me check it out? Long Yu looked at the Shura Duke. This time, he had made a great contribution, so he did not hesitate and made his request straightforwardly. The Shura Duke's eyes brightened, and he laughed. My daughter was right. You would make such a request. However, you have to think about it carefully. Long Yu frowned and asked, Senior, can't you go to the Heaven Prison Thunderbolt Pool? Of course not. However, your father has been there for more than 20 years. It's very unlikely that he is still alive. The Shura Duke shook his head with a smile and said, if I enter and find nothing, you won't get anything, right? This great contribution is enough for you to pick any heaven-grade martial skill from the Shura Valley's Martial Skill Pavilion. Even if you want a heaven-grade weapon, I can give you more than one. I don't lack heaven-grade weapons and martial skills. Therefore, they are not that useful to me. Long Yu shook his head. What he said was the truth. Out of all the martial skills he cultivated, he had 2 moves of the Desolate grade martial skill. It was enough for him. What he needed to do next was to deepen his comprehension of the Underworld Dragon 9 explosions and the Ancient Desolate Shadow Kill. As for the war weapons, he had the Dragon Bone Tower for defense and the Netherworld Dragon Blade for offense. To Long Yu, these 2 war weapons were more than enough. He could not even utilize the full power of these 2 war weapons, let alone the other war weapons. Hearing Long Yu's words, the Shura Duke's handsome face revealed a meaningful smile. Looks like heaven-ranked weapons and martial skills really can't move you. The Azura Duke waved his hand dismissively. Since that's the case, what do you think if this Duke wishes to take you as my disciple? If you become my disciple, you'll have all the cultivation resources you need. Heaven-grade combat weapons, martial skills, you can get whatever you want. Furthermore, if there's a great Desolation Warrior weapon or a Divine Rune Seal, I will bring you there first and give you some guidance on martial arts. In this way, your martial arts journey will be smooth. What do you think? The temptation of this condition was much greater than a mere heaven-rank martial skill and combat weapon. Even Hui Yuanbai was a little surprised. This was the first time the regional king had made such a request to a junior. It was obvious that the regional king admired Long Yu a lot. Long Yu's expression changed slightly when he heard this. The Azura Duke was actually willing to accept him as a disciple. Not only could they provide all kinds of cultivation resources, but they could also have the opportunity to snatch great desolate-level warrior weapons or supreme treasures like divine rune engravings. This condition was extremely generous. If it was any other young man in the Shura County, they would agree without hesitation. Unfortunately, Long Yu was not an ordinary man. He had his own understanding of the martial arts journey, and he did not want to rely on others, not even the Azura Duke from the Emperor Road's secret realm. Long Yu knew that there were existences stronger than the Emperor Road secret realm, such as the mysterious woman Consort Yu that he had seen many times in his memories. The beast from the Emperor Road's secret realm had been turned into ashes by Consort Yu with a single move. It was obvious that Consort Yu's strength was much stronger than the Emperor Road's secret realm. Thank you for your kindness, Senior Duke. However, I would rather Senior help me find my father's whereabouts. Long Yu shook his head. What a pity! The Azura Duke strode forward with a handsome smile on his face. Long Yu, I didn't expect you to be so resolute. In that case, if this Duke were to give you the position of the next Azura Duke and betroth my daughter Shu Chan to you, would you be willing? Hua Yuanbai's eyes widened involuntarily when he heard this. This was simply unimaginable. The Azura Duke had actually given the position of the next Duke and his own daughter to Long Yu. Long Yu was slightly startled when he heard this. Shu Chan's lively and beautiful face flashed across his mind, and he recalled the humiliation he had suffered after coming to the Shura County. At that moment, Long Yu felt a strong desire for the position of the Azura Duke. If he could become the Azura Duke, or even the next Azura Duke, who would dare to plot against him in the valley where the Azura sacred tree was located and try to kill him silently. If he agreed to the Azura Duke's condition, he would immediately become a big shot in the entire Shura County. He would even be able to stand on equal footing with Shu Chan. A ball of fire ignited in Long Yu's heart, causing him to almost become hot-headed and agree to the Azura Duke's condition. After all, this condition was beneficial to Long Yu. If it was anyone else, they would agree to it without any hesitation. As for his father, the Azura Duke had said that he had been trapped in the heavenly prison Thunderbolt Pool for more than 20 years. The possibility of him still being alive was next to nothing. If that was the case, why not? At that moment, Long Yu's heart turned cold, and he broke out in a cold sweat. What just happened? Why did I have such a thought? Naturally, Long Yu would not agree to the Azura Duke's condition. Regardless of whether it was the Azura Duke or Shu Chan, they were nothing to him. However, just now, for some unknown reason, a certain weak thought that had arisen in his heart was magnified infinitely, causing him to almost make a choice that went against his will. When he came to his senses, he suddenly realized that this was the third heart tribulation of the human tribulation realm. Human tribulation realm martial cultivators had to go through 3 heart tribulations. It was not difficult to go through these heart tribulations, but for those with weak willpower, it was extremely difficult. Everyone's heart tribulations were different. Long Yu's third heart tribulation was to tempt his inner demon. This tempting heart demon was directly triggered by the words and actions of the Azura Duke in front of him. Senior Duke, I still choose to go to the heavenly prison Thunderbolt Pool to search for my father's whereabouts. Long Yu's eyes became extremely determined. He lifted his head and looked at the Azura Duke. Ah! Seeing this, the Azura Duke laughed out loud. Not bad, not bad. Not only are you talented in martial arts, your luck is also enviable. Most importantly, you have a strong willpower. In the face of such temptation, you did not change your mind. If it was someone else, I'm afraid it would be too difficult for them to do so. Senior Duke, are you purposely triggering my inner demon so that I can go through the heart tribulation? Asked Long Yu with a smile. Not bad. You can tell. The Azura Duke raised his eyebrows and said with interest, You have a good eye. Thank you, Senior. Long Yu cupped his fists. This was the first time they met, but the Azura Duke had already successfully triggered his third heart tribulation, allowing him to successfully pass the bottleneck of the human tribulation realm. As long as he absorbed enough spiritual energy, he could attempt to break through to the heavenly beginning realm. Once he reached the heavenly beginning realm, his strength would be much stronger. What are you thanking me for? You were able to pass this test because of your strong willpower. Even without me, you would have passed this test sooner or later. The Azura Duke waved his hand. I only allowed you to take this step a little earlier. Duke, this old man is curious. If this dragon boy really fell for the trap and chose to become the next duke, and even wanted to marry the princess, what would you do? Hui Yuanbai asked with a smile. He seemed to be quite curious. It's not impossible for him to marry this duke's daughter. He also has a chance to become the next duke. However, before he wants to obtain it, he naturally has to pay a price. At the very least, he would have to undergo some tests from this duke. The Azura Duke said with a smile. These tests are not simple. If he succeeds, this duke will naturally admire him. Ahem, the duke's tests are naturally not simple. Hui Yuanbai coughed and said casually. In his heart, he was thinking, fortunately, this kid is smart enough to overcome his inner demon. Otherwise, if he really agreed to the duke's words, the test would definitely take his life. All right, this matter is settled. Let's go back. The Azura Duke raised his hand and led the crowd back. Duke, please wait a moment. The campsite below has suffered heavy losses. This general still has to stay here and deal with the aftermath. Hui Yuanbai did not leave with the crowd. Instead, he prepared to deal with the aftermath in the campsite below. At the very least, he had to calm the effects of this storm. Go. The Azura Prefecture King nodded his head. With a wave of his hand, a black cloud rose and brought Long Yu and little fatty Ren Pingfan toward the Azura Valley. Although Long Yu had only been here for less than 2 months, he had made a great contribution and received the Azura Duke's reward. When he returned to the Azura Valley, no one would dare to do anything to Long Yu. Not only that, the Azura Duke seemed to already know that someone had schemed against Long Yu and thrown him into the Azura Holy Trees Valley. Regarding this, the Azura Duke naturally had to investigate this thoroughly. When the time came, he would give Long Yu an explanation. When you return, cultivate well. The Azura County selection is just around the corner. If you can emerge victorious, you will be able to enter my Azura County's sacred ground. If you are fated, it is not impossible for you to obtain desolate-level martial skills or weapons. The Azura Duke's words caused Long Yu and little fatty Ren Pingfan's hearts to skip a beat. Desolate-level combat weapons and martial skills. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.